What's up? Welcome to a special edition of Bitches Love Sports. I'm Jazz Monet, your host. It's been a long day, y'all. So me and Akoye are supposed to be going live together. Hopefully he shows up soon. But in the meantime, I'm just gonna get started with a few things that have been on my mind since although the headlines are new, it's stuff that's been on my mind since last week, if I'm being honest. Um, because of life stuff, I think y'all saw the one video that I talked about my car, but like there's also been issues like with my computer and stuff. So I just haven't really had a chance to talk about a lot of the stuff that I would normally talk about. Luckily, it's been a bye week, so it hasn't been like a lot of stuff going on. But yeah, in terms of both Cowboys news and Buffalo's news, which is what I cover the most, I haven't really been able to talk about anything. Luckily, they both had a bye week, hence the title of this video, Bye Week Bull Junk, because it's a lot of it's like a review of some of the stuff that's been happening, and that, in my opinion, still has some loose ends to wrap up. So it looks like Akoye has joined us, so I'm going to bring him on the screen and also try to make sure that my layout doesn't go crazy. So give me a second, y'all. It's like I always say, like, I really do wish that if this were a full-time job for me, let's just say a lot of things would go differently. Okay. And my computer is like, no, we're not showing multiple people. Hold on. I'm like, I added him. Let's see here.
It says I'm in the show.
You said it's what?
It says I'm in the show, so they probably can.
Yeah, I know, but like the layout that I have, like, won't show you. I'm like literally trying to do this layout live. This is hilarious. Hold on. Let me do this. Now, like, won't let me adjust them. This is terrible, y'all.
I'm on your time. You all good.
Yeah, I know you are, but there are people like watching this.
Oh,
Say
yeah.
something insightful and cool. What?
You ever heard of that? That was Tina Turner used to say, "Nam yo ho no renge kyo." You ain't never heard that?
Hold on, your volume is kind of low.
Oh yeah, I might have hit a button.
Okay, I got you on here. This is so funny.
Am I on there now?
Yes, you're on the screen.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can't see you.
You can't see?
I can't see us on the same screen at the same time. Like I see me in a little small box at the bottom of the screen.
What?
Yeah, I see your face though.
I think I know what's happening. Hold on.
I just
this
see
is why you have to be able to laugh at yourself.
Cool.
Because
no, take your time.
Moments like this otherwise will kill you. Okay. Thank you for laughing with me, Martin. I appreciate that. All right.
Shout out to Martin.
No. Hold on. Come back.
All right. There we go.
There we go.
See, now I can see us both.
Yes.
Yeah. She was like, what is he doing?
I didn't intend for people to see that I'm like all the way in my pajamas, but yes, it's been a long day. I'm all the way in my pajamas.
Me too. I started
hi, everyone.
this morning. I look like I'm about to pass out. I started this morning with Sky. I said I look like I'm about to pass out. I started this morning with
That's
Sky
right.
at like
you
7
were up
o'clock
super
in the morning.
Early.
Yeah. I've been going all day. So I get it.
Oh man. Well, hold on. Let me turn this up so I can make sure I can hear you. Yeah, so you went on this morning with Sky to talk about the upcoming game against the Rams.
Right.
And I didn't get to hear all of it. I know y'all talked about the defense and some of the tricky stuff that they do to kind of trip up quarterbacks. Did y'all talk about the offense at all?
We touched on it. Sky actually does offense, I think, on Tuesdays every week. Shout out to Skywalker still. But he usually covers the offense on Tuesdays. So we went over it just as like a summary, a brief summary. But I mean, their offense, if you want to go into that, you know, they're not really they're not hard to figure out. You know what they're doing. It's just, can you stop it? And their offense was designed to attack because they're in conference with the Seattle Seahawks. Seattle Seahawks notoriously have run cover 3. So does San Francisco. They run cover 3 and cover 1. That means like you have one safety in the middle of the field. So what they do is they'll do multiple crossing routes, deep crossers, dig routes. That just means, you have they're in tight sets, meaning their wide receivers are close to the line of scrimmage, and they're running crossing routes across the middle of the field. So if you only have one safety in the middle of the field, he can't guard left and right. He has to choose one. And either way he chooses, if that quarterback has enough time, he's going to beat that single high safety every time. So his offense was designed specifically to attack our cover 1 and cover 3 that we run. So that's why the Rams can give you problems, but that's what they run. You know what I mean? And then as far as their run scheme, it's all predicated on how well they, number one, how they run a lot of outside zones, a lot of counters, and then Freeman's like a power runner that just puts his foot in the ground and gets upfield. But their offense is geared so that if you give them time, like I just said, they're going to kill you either way, because either Cup or Puka is going to be open regardless of which way Hooker goes, and everybody's going to be mad at Hooker no matter what he chooses, right? He chooses, I'm going to stay over Cup on this one because, Bland might look beat, and now Gilly doesn't get the help, or vice versa. You get what I'm saying? So that's what's happening in their offense. That's why they're so hard to beat, and that's why teams that run that scheme always give us trouble, especially teams that go horizontal with misdirection or anything like that. They give us trouble, and the Rams are McVay is a savant with that. So they're not light. Like, the only way to get to them, and the reason we've had success in the last couple of times we played them, is because when you play the Rams, you have to get to Stafford, or you have to get to Goff, whoever it was at quarterback, either or. If you can have him moving around and disrupt the timing, and he doesn't have time for those deep crossers to hit, then they have to run like more of a West Coast scheme, slants and short stuff, drag routes, things like that, because he doesn't have the time. So the reason we always had success with him is because we pass rush Stafford pretty well. Like we did, I think last year, we blocked Dorrance blocked the punt. We were just throwing Stafford all over the place. And on the other side of the ball, TP always has a field day with those guys too. But so offensively, that's what we're going to get. That's what we get every time we play him, no matter who their quarterback is, because that's McVay's scheme.
Gotcha. Okay. That makes a lot of sense. And like you said, though, we've had success against them recently because of exactly what you said. I have faith in our pass rush. And I'm not going to make you do much thinking tonight. So that's probably the most we'll talk about.
This don't require no thinking. I got it.
No, I say that because Eastside Herald said, I heard Dallas has 17th ranked offense. Ask Akoye about that. No.
No, you can ask me about that. Listen, it's a rule.
No, we actually are going to talk about it.
You got to give him love every time you see him, because he always try to hate. Like, give Eastside as much love as you can give. Why? Because he coming here specifically to hate, but he don't know he's a closet Cowboys fan because he watches nothing but Cowboys content. You know what I mean? He's a Texans fan.
He has no friends. No, seriously. Like, I don't ever see him like any like Texan spaces. He comes to Cowboys content streams and then talks about the Texans. And I'm just like, where are your friends at, Harold?
And then you come in here starting fights. Like, he the boy that comes to the party. Like, you let him in the cookout. And you starting fights. Like, yo, relax, bro.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, we already let you in here. Relax.
But no, so the reason why I call this bi-week bull junk is for a couple of reasons. One, you and I were supposed to do a live a long time ago that I did tell my viewers about. That was my fault, y'all.
I know you told everybody. But
I mentioned it on an episode. I was like, yeah, this week, me and Okoye, we're gonna go live and we're gonna talk about blah 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 blah. And then, as you know, that day I was like, okay, I can't. So that was my fault. But I almost feel like a similar topic has come back around, and I saw you post about it. This whole first date thing that's been going around. Right before we went live, I saw Shady and no, it wasn't Shady and Joy. It was Acho and Joy did a post about it, and I was like, okay, this thing is not dying. I thought it would be dead by now. And I'm gonna be honest, like nobody asked me for my input on this list. They're like, women put together this list. I'm like, what women? Like, I had to hit up my friends. I was like, do you know who contributed to this list? Because honestly, this list is some bullshit.
Right.
I'm like, first date at the gym.
It's really not though.
Yes,
that's how
please.
It is out here. Man. It's hard out here in this world, man. We won't be talking crazy, man. They do, man. It's just not all of them. So not all, but some. You know what I mean?
Clearly, I'm just like, there's just this whole list of places I think is perfectly acceptable. But if I'm gonna be honest, if it's a true first date, like it, because like a lot of people meet on dating apps now, right? So a lot of times their first date is also their first time meeting in person.
Right.
And so for me, I'm like, if it's a true first date where it's our first time meeting in person, I do not necessarily feel comfortable with some dude who I don't actually know, never met, like spending tons of money on me. If I'm being
Right.
honest, I don't know if that's like old
But that's
school or if it's
that's
weird,
old school, right? But
but
no, it's people who live. They're like professional daters. You know, they go on multiple. It's women who date multiple people that I know women. I used to run a strip club, so I know women who used to just pay their rent just from 3 of their boyfriends. You know what I'm saying? They that's how they pay their rent, like easy. You know what I mean? So I see it. I've seen it in action. You know what I mean? So for me, the expectations of a lot of women, and not just in the stripper world. The stripper world is just different because they just saying it. You know what I mean? But they have
right.
straight up conversations, which they're saying it. But it's no different in the private sector or in normal life, because our standards now is like men and women though. Everybody a little tripping. Like men want to, they want to pay the highest price, right? And women is like, hey, men pay the highest. You get what I'm saying? It's less about what your characteristics are, and you can hear it with people who discuss, like, if somebody said, hey, and I know you probably, I'm not gonna put you on the spot, but people will say, hey, like, what are your preferences to a woman? She'll name, basically 6 foot, 6 figures. We've all heard all of the dating shows, 6 foot, 6 figures, 666s. You know what I mean? They want the mark of the beast. You know what I'm saying? Basically, they want all the sixes. So 6-pack, 6-pack, 6 foot, 6 figures, and a bunch of other shit with sixes in it. But you get what I'm saying? And that's a thing.
Sixes in it.
That's a real thing. You know what I mean? They ain't said shit about, do he slap the shit out of you? Excuse my French. Is he a good person? You know what I'm saying? How does he treat his mom? They don't care about the characteristics of the guy. You don't even hear it. It's not even spoken of ever. So it's like all the guy is thinking now is, from that generation, is all I gotta do is get to 6 figures. You know what I'm saying? They gotta do is getting calf extensions now so they can get to 6 foot.
No.
You know what I mean? So it's all now
God.
become like non-substance. There's no depth to it. You know, and you'll talk to people who are talking to you, and all they talk about is IG type stuff. Like, of course I take trips, of course we go do things, of course we have fun. Like, of course you're gonna do that, but what are you trying to do? What do you want? What you trying to do? What we talking about? What could we build? Are you a builder? Are you just looking for me to already be finished? You know what I'm saying? That's what we're saying.
I don't even think they're looking for people to be finished. I think what they want is validation from dating. That's why we see so much defensive dating. Yeah. But like, okay, rewinding. First of all, I didn't know you were in a strip club. Like, is there anything that you haven't done, dude? That's cool.
I ran a strip club for like 5 years called Set It Off in Philadelphia. So people in Philly know me for that, and then I used to promote parties too. So they know me for that at first, and then boxing.
I don't know how that didn't come up during our first interview. That's what's up. Respect.
I might have said it.
Assuming you treated your girls well, because not everybody does.
You make it sound,
but you seem like the type who would.
They was my co-workers, man. I was a manager. They work here too. But no, they treated themselves well because they are 1099 employees. I just manage the club. They are the private business owners there. They do their own thing. So all we do is help them facilitate. You know what I'm saying? So when it comes to running a strip club, you really learn the good, bad, and ugly. Not just the good, because there's good people there, bad people. So you see every part of the spectrum when it comes to male female dynamics, man. So and it's like it ripped the band-aid off. Like, seriously, I was married at the time, right? I didn't get divorced because of that, but I was married at the time, right? And I couldn't wear a wedding ring. I had to get a tattoo. I still got it. I had to get a tattoo of my wedding ring. You can say I'm chocolate, so it's hard to see that, Joe. But
I can kind of see it.
Yeah, I had to get a tattoo of my wedding ring on my finger because I had to tell her, like, I cannot wear a wedding ring in the club. You can't wear one in the club. Why? And they'll tell you why. See what I'm saying? The women will tell you straight up because they're gonna target you because you're married. They know you. They know you. Somebody like you. If they see your wife and they admire her. I didn't learn like all the dynamics to why some women would talk to you. Men, you really don't understand how men think though. Men think like this, right? We don't get offers from the opposite sex from the age of 12 on. Y'all do. So y'all become like PhDs in turning people down. Men ain't PhDs at turning nothing down because they don't get no offers. We the hunters. We trying to catch as many squirrels as we can get. Like, if you put 10 squirrels in the backyard with a pit bull, it's gonna be 10 dead squirrels. He gonna catch them all. He's not gonna stop at one. He gonna keep going. That's how, I'm not trying to say we dogs, but I'm just saying that's how men are. We're conquerors. That's what we do. You know what I'm saying? So when you think of it that way, like, of course, men are looking at things in in a certain pattern. You know what I'm saying? They're not thinking the same way. They're not able to reject things the same way women can. So when they see, hey, you got a wedding ring on now, you got something to lose. So I've seen, and I don't want. Can I? Are we? Am I going too far off topic with this?
No, keep
Explanation?
going.
Because I'm telling you, it's crazy. Listen, it's like I break everything down. So I broke the strip club dynamics. Now I'm trying to tell you. Listen, but they would date married men. They would come after you crazy because they know you got something to lose and they like that. I've seen women who would have a cop will come, couple cops, couple firefighters, couple ex NBA players, all that. I won't say their names, but they used to come there every week. I knew when they got paid because they would come there on payday and sit there. I'm like, I never understood. I said, why won't you just go talk to the girl outside of here or something? Why would you come to meet somebody that you never gonna get? Every Wednesday. And I thought they was weird at first. I'm like, it's got to be something wrong. But then I realized they are seeing each other outside of here. But why are they here giving up their money? Because they done reached out. They know the wife. They done reached out. They follow her on Facebook. And it's like, it's ransom, except for it's a smooth ransom. You don't got a gun to your head. You know what I'm saying? But you got to come here every Wednesday and pay, brother. You got to do it. Get what I'm saying? I've seen that. So like when I look at that and then I see how we are trending towards a transactional dating society, it's like cringy to me, man. I don't like it because that's what I worked in. So I'm like, that's what that is. If you meet somebody that you bang with, you know, or that you're interested in, you sit down, you talk to them, you get to know them wherever you choose to get to know each other, whatever y'all vibe is on. You know what I'm saying? It's not, I better do this or why? You know what I'm saying? It's wherever we choose to chill, whatever we choose to do. Now, of course, if you got some sense and a guy wants to impress you based off of what you presenting, he might want to go take you somewhere nice because he think you nice. If he don't, he won't. So where he decides to take you is not just an indication of what he think of you. So that's how women view it. Like he got to be thinking of me low if you want to take me to Cheesecake Factory. But some guys will do stuff like, you know, like when I met my fiance, right? I'm like, yo, I was in my studio. I was like, I'm not gonna show her my crib. She's gonna come to my studio. Because if she act nutty about the studio, about me meeting her in my studio, she even act like if she don't trust me, she act weird, then no, I'm cool. I might as well just cut it off now. You know what I'm saying? So I did that. And she was chill. She was chill. That was just a test. It wasn't, I'm going to bring you to some studio to chill and talk to me. You know what I'm saying? I just want to see if you don't trust me, I don't trust you. That's how I think. So like we were on that type vibe early. So no contact, no nothing, just chilling, cool, right? And if she's watching it, she would tell you. See what I'm saying? So when you look at it that way, then of course we went to all those other things. But I want to see that. Do you like me? You know what I'm saying? Or are you on? I just want some date shit. You know what I'm saying?
I guess I'm the same way though, because I'm just like, how can I put this in a way that makes sense? I know that like the type of dudes that I like masculine men, right? And masculine men, they like to take care of the women that they're interested in. Right. But there are also some men who present as masculine and they will use that, okay, I'll take care of you as a way to like manipulate you, to like kind of snare you, right? And so I guess I'm also the same way. I want to see like what a person's vibe is before I let you drop $200, $300 on a date. And then you try to hold that over my head or make it seem like I owe you something. Or they might even get the wrong idea of me just because of how I act on a date like this. So I'm just like, okay, let's let our first meeting be like, we can go on a walk. We can meet for coffee. We can go to the gym. I don't like to go to movies because you can't really talk during a movie.
Right.
But it doesn't have to be like this big thing. And then it's like, okay, if I meet you and I like you and we vibe, then I'll allow you to spend that kind of money on me. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I don't know if that's like I said, I don't know if that's weird.
But you an 80s baby?
Huh?
You an 80s baby?
Something like that.
Because that's old school shit. So I'm an 80s baby. So that's how we thought back in the day. They don't think like that no more, man. They don't think like that.
I'll say this: the first people I dated, I did not meet on an app, and I did not. I don't even like meeting people.
You still know how to get around without GPS. When the lights go off and GPS is off, you still know how to get where you're going. They can't get across the street, and no, that's just real. Like so the what I don't know what to call a generation, but when you look at how everything with them is transactional and quick, fast microwave. Everything.
And
you know what I mean?
I'm gonna say this regarding that, and then we can move on to a different topic. Mm-hmm. But that is something that I noticed because, and I've said this on the show before. Like I've worked in a strip club, and so just like meeting those women. And then meeting women who not only don't do that kind of work, but like have the nerve to look down on it, but then hear them talk about the way they date. I'm just like,
Same
you realize
thing.
there's a word for what you're looking for, and it's not dating. And I'm like, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I'm just like, don't.
They'll even
I'm
say
like,
you gotta. I'm glad I ain't
if
saying it.
so,
See,
it's
if I
like,
was
for
saying it, I
example,
sound crazy. Go ahead.
if you were a girl in the club, right?
Right.
And you offer a dude to dance, but you don't set your price first, you can't be mad if they don't pay you. And so I guess that's why whenever I look at these women who are mad that, like, okay, this dude didn't spend this amount on me, he didn't do XYZ. I'm like, well, did you set your price first?
Yo, I
Well,
swear
no,
to
because
you.
that would make me but you mad because he didn't pay you.
Yo, listen. I swear to you, we had a couple rules in a bar. We said you can't bring your boyfriend to work because obviously they get jealous. People get shot, something happens to. Like, that's one. Two, no matter what, right? Do not fraternize too deep with the customer. Don't get with the customers. No matter how much you like them, never get with the customers because they gonna get attached. You know what I'm saying? And now he gonna cling to you, and other people see men are weird. Like, they see somebody else is tipping you, and you giving him too much attention. You're not circulating, keeping it moving. They gonna say, let him tip you. Then you're gonna make less money that night. So we would tell them that because they gonna make less money because of that. So we would be schooling them like, yo, this is the psychology of how men think and they know, like, strippers know how men think better than married women know, because married women get lied to. The stripper get everything. She'll tell you exactly who he is, straight up, exactly who he is, and she know a real man versus not. You know how you know this, and they'll play with you. When I first got there, oh man, because men don't get no offers. So when I first got there, I never did that with nobody. Well, I was there, swear to God. But when I first got there, I still was eyes wide open, like, it's naked women everywhere. Oh my God. Oh me, oh my. You know what I'm saying? And they know they got you with that. It's like, oh, you don't know how to, like, you ain't got the mental fortitude yet, huh? So they noticed that. Like I said, I had to learn and stop wearing the red wings. I thought, I'm like, damn, I've never been so attractive in my life. I ain't but 5'10". I'm all right, but I'm all right here. You know what I'm saying? I was thinking like that. So it's because you got the wedding ring on. Somebody just pulled my coat and told me. So then I looked at all the love I was getting. I was like, damn, y'all was playing with me. You know what I mean? So same thing with, if you're tipping, it's crazy. Don't ever tip. If I work here and you dance on me, you're disrespecting me because we both at work. You know what I'm saying? I'm here to make money too. So if you're trying to get me to tip you while I'm at work, that was considered disrespectful. I didn't know that. So I would feel that it wasn't courteous that I let her dance in the first place and they tip her. So I would tip the people that work. And somebody put me aside, one of the security guys, like, yo, bro.
Nah.
You know you here. She make more than you do. She playing with you. She make more than you. She know what she doing. So I got mad at that. You know what I mean? Not like visibly. But every time I would see them do that, I'd be like, yo, come on, man. And they all knew it. I never had to say what it is. If I don't say what it is, that means you know what it is. See? I'm like, come on, man. And they're like, my bad, I'm sorry. What you apologizing for? You know what I'm saying? You knew what you was doing. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I learned, like, oh, this is a different kind of place. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying that to say, it's game on both sides of the line, but strippers, you usually, like, working in the strip club, you learn the good, bad, and ugly about both male and female on a different level. That's crazy. And it's
100%.
Funny. Last story, and I don't know, this last story, and I'm done. I promise you. This is a good one, though.
We might have to revisit this during the off season. This is good.
Go ahead. You can go ahead. I'll just cut it
No,
off.
you can go with the last story. I'm just saying, like,
story. It was I won't say no names, but if it was a stripper who used to work every night, right? We would always watch, like, the lap dance room song, because we were like, yo, you can't do nothing with the customers. We would have to fight her off of customers, something like, yo, you got to get out. You know what I mean? You tripping. So we all felt bad because her dude used to pick her up every night, right? So he's thinking all of these guys want my girl, right? He's thinking that we're jealous of him, and we don't. It's not my place to say anything. It's not our place to pull him aside, say nothing to him. And I don't know, maybe y'all I don't know what that thing is. You know what I'm saying? But she used to walk to him every day in front of us, knowing that we know we pulled you out the room. We know what you do, what you've been in here doing. You know what I'm saying? She would kiss him, hello, every time he picked her up from work at night. And we all would watch, like, the Super Bowl. Oh, damn, he did it again. You know what I'm saying? So he thinking he getting the ultimate, ego boost. Like, they want my girl. We like, damn, your girl's disrespecting you in front of all of us for our kicks, our shits and giggles.
Majorly.
Yes. See?
Wow.
Wow. And he would never know. It's like a spell. He never would know. He happy as hell to be disrespected.
This is way better than talking about that damn list.
You gotta break it down, man.
I'm gonna just say the list is bullshit. Anybody who wants to live by that, okay, have fun. Yeah. But I just feel like you're setting yourself up.
You are.
But yeah, one day we're gonna have a conversation about men and women and strippers and dating for validation, because it is a thing and it is annoying. I'm gonna say this and then I'm gonna move on. Yeah. Because it's like I got back on a dating app recently.
Yeah.
And I think that's the most annoying thing about it. It's like people want to get serious so quickly, and it's not because they actually like you. It's because they need you to validate them. And that's how you validate them, by like committing to them and like acting like things are serious. And I'm like, you don't even fucking know me. We've been texting for 3 days. Like, why do you care how many other people I've been talking to? Like, why do you care how long I've been single? Like, it's so fucking weird. It's so fucking weird. But anyway.
You swat him that. He trying to get to know you better, see if he want to take you serious. She's like, don't ask me no questions, like, stop.
I'm sorry, like that is way too soon. Like we've been texting for 3 days, and you want to know like so much shit. Like
he just asked you what your favorite color was. She's like, listen, I ain't trying to get to know you like that. Stop all these survey questions.
I'm really just trying to get in the habit of getting to know people, but they're just like, well, how long do you plan on dating around? How long have you been on this app? Who have you met? What have you been doing? And I'm just like, yo, can we talk about like our favorite anime or some shit? Like what?
But that's kind of weird. You would think that's weird too, but like, you watch Naruto? Like what? Like, come on, bro. Like, what you doing? Like,
that is a fun conversation. What you talking about?
But that's a later in the relationship, John. Like,
no,
talk about the idiosyncrasies off the rip. Like, yo,
watching Naruto is not an idiosyncrasy. First of all, that's a prerequisite.
Trees? Like, who
like,
walk up to
I need to know up front: are we both into shonen or not? Because if not, then this might not even work. There might not be a point.
But see, that's when y'all meet people. But that's what you tell people, though. You tell people to go to places where you, like, I told my son. He in the jiu-jitsu. You meet a female that's either cool, like loves jiu-jitsu, or is into jiu-jitsu, because then you never feel like you gotta like choose. You know what I'm saying? So same thing. Meet people that's already at the places. Like go to Comic-Con and meet people that's already in the anime. Yes. Those like your deal breakers. You feel what I'm saying? People will be like, I want a guy that's God loving. Like where you meet him at? Fusion. You're like, that's a club. Like what are you talking about? Ain't no God in there. Ain't nothing in there, but nothing in there for you, sweetheart. You know what I'm saying? Why you in there? So it'd be funny to me. I got little sisters, big sisters, daughters that's grown. I'm a grandfather. So it's like I'm a grandpa. I'm a new grandpa. So it's like I'm 40 though. So I'm all right grandpa. But my daughter 20, about to be 21. So it's like, hey, I ain't mad at it. But I'm just saying, I've got experience from all different sides of the female dynamic, man. So it's fun talking about it because I'll be listening to the fake war that's going on between the genders, and it's just like, man, like they playing the game with y'all, man. Crazy.
Okay, yeah, we got to pause it there. We'll bring this conversation back during the off season because it is a really good one. This is why I like talking to you. I told somebody earlier that I was going live with you, and they were like, oh, you going live with Akoye and y'all gonna talk about Micah? Yeah, y'all gonna fight. In so many words, that's what they said. But before we get to Micah, let's talk about some of the things that led up to Micah Parsons saying some of the things that he said.
Right.
For me, when things started to get a little hairy, actually for me, it goes back to when Deion Sanders appeared on Inside the NFL with Ryan Clark. Did you happen to see that clip?
No.
Okay, I'm gonna play it real quick because, just to get us both on the same page about what I'm talking about, and I also want to get your opinion on what he said.
Bet.
So let me see if I can find the right one, and then let me make sure this didn't It's fine. There's 3 of us on the screen. Okay, so this is a tweet that I actually shared. And I said the criticism hits different when it's from Coach Prime. So I'm gonna just let it play and let you hear what he had to say.
You speak of ramifications and where the Cowboys are right now. What do the Cowboys need to do to get those ramifications back intact so they can compete with that of the 49ers? Because based on what we just saw, it ain't looking good.
See, the thing about the 49ers, they have several players out there right now that you know what you're going to get every Sunday. Like several of them that you know what you're going to get. And the quarterback is playing out of his mind. And he wasn't even slated to be one of those guys. The Cowboys have guys that's supposed to be dogs.
Film no lie.
Hey, I need
the film no lie.
What is that? Hey, you remember when we went to school and the teacher called your name and you said, here?
Yeah.
Say here.
Yeah.
So, say something.
Right.
Here.
Hey, you got to at least pitch him, coach. Like you said earlier, you got to
Right.
Fight back, man. I know that happened sometime in that game because
I did see this.
But that was something to behold what I watched, don't you?
Okay,
yeah,
so
I did see
to
that.
me, it's doing it again. Hold on, let me find the right one. There we go.
Yeah. Did you hear? Yeah, I saw that. I didn't know I saw it, but yeah, I saw that. But
so to me, the reason why I said that's where things kind of started a little bit is because that was after the loss of the 49ers.
Right.
That was when people started being particularly harsh in their criticism of Dak Prescott and the Cowboys. But it was also, I think, when a large portion of the fan base started to develop a lot of questions. I think there were questions before. There were some people who were still carrying over feelings from the Cardinals game, right? But I think a lot of people were like, okay, we had some starters missing from the O-line, like Mike McCarthy overreacted. There were a lot of people who were very forgiving of what happened during the Cardinals game. But then after the loss of the 49ers was when a lot of people were like, no, this offense is terrible. It doesn't make anybody look good. They're not using CD right. Dak isn't acting right. And then you started to hear a lot of people who at the beginning of the season, members of the media who were starting to like kind of hop on the Cowboys bandwagon. They hopped completely fucking off and went and started running the other way.
Right.
And so to me, that's why I said that's when that started. And like, do you think that makes sense as far as like when this whole sequence started that led to Micah finally having to be like, okay, media members, y'all are doing too much?
See, that's true. First off, yeah, everything you said is like that's when it started. But everything that like they say that will make you laugh and make you cry, and it's a double-edged sword with Micah because I said this myself. I don't necessarily like the fact that we're giving them bulletin board material during the season, right? That part of the podcast. But when he said what he said about the media, I was like, I'm glad somebody who is on the inside actually said that, because that's why new media was formed in the first place. It's like so many narratives out here that we know is just like, come on, bro. That's why we get out here and talk in the first place. It's sort of like the sports truther movement or something. So with Micah being one of us, so to speak, by having a podcast, it was like credibility to this community in a certain way, because he's saying like, hey man, like I'm calling out the quote unquote unsolicited media, right? You know what I mean? Unbiased media, right? I'm calling them out, and they're not showing to be as unbiased as their journalistic principles would dictate. You feel what I mean? So that's what he's saying. And he's saying like, and if you are judging by this hard ride, sort of like Larry Merchant in boxing, he's like, he had a standard for boxers, but he had it for everybody, right? He had a certain way he was judging everybody. So that's just who he is. Whereas if you pick and choose who you chastise and who you don't, that's what he's talking about. He's not saying don't criticize. He's saying if this is the litmus test, then let that be the litmus test for everybody. If it's not, stop moving the goalposts and stop talking about it, because you on BS. So I cannot like the podcast itself because I want them focused, but like what he said on it at the same time. You know what I'm saying? So I'm still against the podcast. That's not against Micah. I don't like the podcast. I don't like. But I am a podcaster, so there's a conundrum, right? But I want. Michael Bennett said, I don't want the linebackers that eat with forks and spoons. I want the ones that eat with their hands. I don't want the linebacker. I don't want my linebacker. It's not like I don't want Michael on the team, but I don't want my linebacker hyping up and being nice to the opposite. I want them to fear you when you get what I'm saying? That's just me as a fan, I guess. And I think most fans.
You think people fear Micah less just because he's fair in his assessment
and there you
of
go.
other teams?
You're exactly right. No, but most fans are. This is about the perception of it. You know what I'm saying? Most fans are looking at that perception of how he's a leader on his defense, and he does a lot of bigging up our divisional rivals and things like that. Like people want that I guess that villainous nature. You know what I'm saying? So when they speak out against him, I don't think they're speaking out against Micah as an individual. They don't know Micah as an individual. They're speaking out against like that ideal, right? Itself. It's like, yo, we want you to hate them because we hate them, so to speak. So it's like groupthink in a sense. You know what I'm saying? And
I think you're exactly right about that.
Yeah.
Just a lot of the stuff that I hear people say, it really does sound like it's less about what Micah should be doing and more about how they want Micah to make them feel. But with that being the case, though, do we think that it actually makes sense for Micah to listen to that? Because since we know that, in my opinion, I'm just like, okay, we know that these people are saying this because they need somebody to live vicariously through. They need some sort of catharsis, right? And so if I'm talking to Micah, I'm like, okay, Micah, fuck them then. Like, let them get that from somewhere else. Do you be who you are, right?
See, and I'm glad you said that, because that's based off of how we feel, right? That's based off of how we feel, right? So the way we grew up, the way I grew up in football, right, was you don't give bulletin board material at all, right? And you give no quarter and no mercy, right? That's really how we all grew up on football, right? So the reason I say this is the Patriots. I only go off of, I go off of history. So if I'm looking at teams that win, and what do they do consistently? They keep everything in house. So they don't do a lot of talking to the media. That's one. Okay. They don't at all. Two, they're disciplined. They all communicate on and off the field. So we got good communication and camaraderie. I see that. We got that. But we talk too much. All of them. But you got all of them talking a lot. Even Dak, they all talk too much. But then you got Micah talking the loudest. And we know as men, the loudest one in the room, to us, our perception of him is weakness. For real. That's how men think. Now, I'm not saying that I think that Micah is weak. I'm saying men, we don't think to talk a lot of shit before a game. And I will prove this to you. You had the Patriots who don't talk at all. They've won Super Bowls. They don't do a lot of talking. They didn't do it during that time. They were very disciplined. All right. Pittsburgh, when they were going, wasn't a lot of talking. You know what I'm saying? They was playing ball. You know what I mean? You have to keep those types of things, that type of material in-house. Pittsburgh played the Patriots one year, and there was a player named Anthony Smith who was talking crazy, like guaranteed a victory against the Patriots, something like that. Tom Brady, he said something livid about Tom Brady. They cakewalked Pittsburgh right after that. He got cut. Right after that. This not like 30 years ago. This not 30 years ago. This is like recent. You know what I'm saying? That's how important it is to a team to shut up.
I got you. I'm going to say this regarding Dak, in defense of Dak Prescott. I don't think it's fair to judge his talking because his talking is contractually obligated. Okay, it's literally part of his job.
Pop. That's your guy. Go ahead.
Huh?
I can tell by your neck pop, you about to get me because that's your guy. Go ahead.
No, that's all I'm gonna say. His talking is contractually obligated. I don't think it's right to judge him. Right. Now, as far as Micah, though, it's like, okay, once again, going back to the fact that, like, as you said, it's the perception that he's like, do you think that this perception of him is actually genuinely affecting anything that actually happens on the field?
Does motivation count?
Maybe.
So why would whether it's good or bad, whether I'm giving you a boy or I'm pissing you off, I'm giving energy and motivating my opposition. Now, in boxing, that might not be a problem because it's just you in there. You know what I'm saying? But it's not just you on the field. It's like it's a way that y'all approaching the game. And I would say this under normal circumstances, not really that bad, not that big a deal, right? But we already get everybody's best punch anyway, because we're America's team anyway. We are going to get everybody's best punch. They don't need, that's what everybody keeps trying to tell them, is like, they don't need an added incentive. They go after the Cowboys hard anyway. The refs go after the Cowboys hard anyway. So that's just fanning it. That's how people look at it. It's like, yo, they don't need an incentive. They don't need your praise or you are any extra bulletin board material. We are the bulletin board material in the first place. That's all everybody talks about in the media is the Cowboys. So they already hate you, bro. You know what I'm saying? They don't need nothing else. No matter what you say, they're not our friends when we suit up. Even if y'all cool on the yachts and off season and training and so on. They're not your friends during the season. They're not. That's how we think.
Let me ask you this. When it comes to the media, though, and the things that Micah has been saying about the media, do you think on some level, maybe Micah is speaking for other people?
He is speaking.
Like a lot of people feel that way, and he's the voice of the players who feels that way.
Listen, I could agree with something that someone says and say it's right, but not agree with them doing it at the same time. That's how. Like I'm not saying he's lying about what he feels, about what he's expressing, because like I said, with the media, that he was telling the truth, and he might really feel that the Eagles are the best team in the league, right? He might really feel like that. I'm not saying don't feel that way and don't surmise that. I'm not even saying that might not be the truth. It could be. I'm saying that the way fans look at this is like, listen, the way we grew up was, I don't think I've never heard like well, it might happen. I don't know. Somebody will pull up a soundbite. But when you just admit, like, yo, that person, I guess in boxing, you say this was the better man tonight. We do that, like sort of like a show of sportsmanship. Tonight you were the better man. Right, I can see you saying something along those lines, right? But when we know we got to see these teams either again or haven't seen them yet, it's like they were looking at it like you got to tell them they got to go through you. Why? But they did say he excluded the Cowboys from the listing in the first place. So with that part of it said, if you add that context, I get where he stands. But where fans are standing is like, don't ever admit that our division rivals are better than us, because they just don't. They argue with Eagles fans all day, either denying that fact, which it is a fact right now, maybe.
Did he actually say that they're better?
He said they were the top team in the league. They were top 5 in the league. Yeah.
Okay.
He named 5 teams that were, and Eagles at the top of that list, and he named why.
I've been hearing about this. I haven't.
He named why he was mad at certain guy. Like he said, "Yo, I wanted Jalen Carter. I was mad that he dropped to them." He said, "I wanted Jalen Carter." That's your Zach Martin got lined up against.
See, I guess I look at this whole thing differently.
Go ahead.
Because I look at it as, to admit those things out loud, you have to have a certain level of security about yourself.
That's good.
And so to me, it comes off as even more confidence. I'm just like, okay, if you feel like you can really go talk like that and then go get on the field and face these dudes, like you must really have a lot of faith in what you're working with. But
when you're doing that, and then you're already struggling to get over the big games, why are you making it bigger, bro? You know what I'm saying? You already struggling. If you was whooping ass and taking names, say whatever you want. You know what I'm saying?
But then doesn't that just make what he said true?
What you mean? How? He's not doing it. They're not doing it.
No, but I'm saying, if you're saying that the Cowboys are struggling to get over the big games,
why are you giving them extra oomph? They don't need it. They're already beating you. They already don't like you. They already play you like it's the Super Bowl. What else? What other incentive do they need? Why
I don't think he looks at it that way. I think he looks at it as he wants to be a good podcaster.
That's how. Yeah, but see, listen, in a woman's world, right? They tell you why it's hard to have a career. My mom's a teacher, right? Why it's hard to have a good career and be a good mother, right? Why? Because you got to choose. You're either going to be a good mom. Excuse me, I got this little screwdriver there. But you either going to be a good mom, or you either going to be a great teacher and an okay mom, or you're going to be a great mom and an okay teacher. You know what I'm saying? Or an okay lawyer, whatever profession you want to put in that role, because you can't serve two masters, right? You're either going to be a great podcaster or you're going to be a general on the Cowboys, man. Like it can't be. Maybe in a perfect world it could be both. You know what I'm saying? But during the season, this is how I feel, man. And I'm a podcaster that like Micah Parsons' podcast. But as far as what I think it does during the season, there is nobody that can tell me that bulletin board material does not exist. I do it. I'm a coach. I do it. I take everything someone says and does, and I use it. So I know they do. Why would I? And you might have supreme confidence, Mike. That's you. You are, Micah Parsons is a generational talent. So of course he got Goku type of, Superman type of confidence. Of course. But you ain't playing with all Supermans. You know what I'm saying? Like, you are up in the ante for everybody on the team. Now, maybe you're trying to motivate the team and make them rise to the level that you speak, and you're using this new age manifestation thing. Like, I'm gonna speak it into existence. We're gonna be it because I'm gonna say it, right?
New age.
Right. But when you say it, you get the resistance to it, and that's what I'm saying. That's what he's getting. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's from the public or from the players that you got to meet on the actual field. They already don't like you. They already coming for you with everything they got. And you like Ali saying, like, I'm going to knock him out in the 8th round. You know what I'm saying? But you got to do it after that. You know what I'm saying? And now, can you? Maybe you can beat your guy that's in front of you, Micah, right? But at the same time, like, that's not how teams were historically orchestrated. And this is
I don't think that's a reason to put that on Micah, though. I don't think that's a reason to say he shouldn't do his podcast. I think that's a reason to think these other dudes need to step up.
Which other dudes? The team, the rest of the team?
If you're saying that he's put like upping the ante for everybody, and that those other people can't handle it, then maybe they should develop to the point where they can handle it.
It's not even about them not being able to handle it. It's about, listen, when you show up and you play ball, right? You are responsible to man left or the right of you. It's not just you out here, right? So my job as a coach is to make everybody's job easier. My job as a player is to do my job so that everybody else's job can be done easier. They ain't got to worry about me. They ain't got to worry about what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? So Micah, to me, is not just a guy in a vacuum. He's a leader on the team. The things he say resonates with other people. And just like I have a perception that's different from his perception, so does everyone else. They're not all thinking the same way. It's not a uniform thing. So just because you said it with an intention of this doesn't mean that's how it's received by anyone else. You know what I'm saying? So there needs to be a unified form in my mindset. If I put somebody up to a task, you have to be singular minded on that task. That's just how I think. Now, I could be wrong. I'm not God here. I'm just telling you what I feel or what I think, right? I could be wrong. I'm not saying I'm not always right. I could be, and I will come back. That's the thing about me. I don't care about being wrong. That's why I speak and I'll say whatever. I don't care if I'm wrong. I'll come back and say, I'm sorry, I was wrong. But I don't think I am. I don't think I am. Because we don't, I mean, some guys can do that. And maybe the Cowboys this year, and I ain't got no choice but to ride with it and hope that he is right and we can overcome that, because we ain't got no choice to overcome that, because it is what it is. This is what's happening. But that don't mean I'm not going to comment about what I think about it, though. You know what I'm saying?
I think if somehow the team doesn't overcome something, or if their performance isn't good, like I don't think we can realistically blame that on Micah's podcast. I guess when I look at the team, I just feel like there's so many.
I wouldn't scapegoat Micah into why we lost. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying they don't need any added incentive. That he wouldn't be the sole reason we lose ever. But when you have what I look at when I look at this team is a team that is they can play wild and they can run to the ball on defense, and they can play in a flow state when they're playing. Nobody's the reason we beat the crap out of softer opposition or non-physical teams is because those games, they're just playing like it's any other game. You got some players who, and you're a coach, you got some players who you have to get them amped up, right? Get them amped up for a game. We already play amped up, especially on defense. You got other players who you want to calm them down before a game. You know what I'm saying? It's just another game. Dak is that guy. It's just another game. When he said, I'm pissed off before the 49ers game, that's telling me I have something to prove to you. It's not just another game anymore, right? He needs to be just another game. That's what I would tell him if I was coach. It's just another game. So when I say you don't need any added incentive, you need to make everything sort of even Steven in their mindsets, because the reason we get all those penalties in those big games as well is because everybody's playing like it's the Super Bowl. It's a big game. Y'all do this every week. It's just another game. Treat it like that. They're just another man in front of you. Treat it like that. Stop treating it like it's everything that the media is hyping it up to be. And don't hype it up even more yourself. They already hyping them up to be Goliath. They don't need any added incentive. They already said, oh, you can never win because you're not just wearing this season on your back. You're wearing 30 years of losing on your back, because they keep reminding you that the team before you was born was losing. Before you was born, they losing. You know what I'm saying? That's not your cross to bear. It's just today. It's just another game. It's just another day. That's what this team needs. So I'm not coming at Micah like I got a problem with a podcast. I'm not that shallow. That's the mentality that this team needs to win. Because when we get in big games, the reason we crap the bed is not because we're not talented. It's because they too amped up for those games. They need to treat them like you treat anybody else. Stop putting these teams on pedestals. Treat them like you would treat anybody else. That's what I'm saying. if I'm articulating that correctly. I'm not saying shut up and act scared. You know what I mean? I'm saying stop giving them any credit. Like treat them like you would treat anybody else. It's just another game. They just another team. No, I'm not even going to give you the dignity of giving you that hierarchy because you just another man. That's how you got to think. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to make you bigger in my mind or in my battlefield. You know what I'm saying? So that's all I'm saying. I'm not coming at Micah or saying I hate you and your podcast stinks and you a piece of crap. That's what everybody who uses my content, who also agrees that he shouldn't have one for whatever reason they agree with that for, they use it to justify their stance. But that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying what I just articulated. That's exactly how I feel. And I could be wrong. But that's how I think the problems with Dak is he wanted to beat teams with his arm and prove that he can win without Zeke for a while, right? So we got Kellen Moore and he started throwing the ball everywhere. Got Coop and they just start throwing the ball, slinging the ball everywhere. But had we been a balanced team during that time, we probably would have won then. You know what I'm saying? But we're trying to prove something. We're trying to prove that Dak is not a running quarterback anymore. He's trying to prove that he's worth his money. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not just another season or just another game during those phases. And you watch him progress through those phases. Then he can't throw the deep ball. He can't throw the back shoulder. I know because I was one of the people who said it about him. Then I watched him work on his game and fix that. So that tells me that person is affected by what people say because he's adapting to it. Just like Diggs with the interceptions versus the yards that year. Then he adjusted, got less interceptions, but he didn't give up no yards. They're listening. You know what I'm saying? So they are affected by what the media is saying. You can see it in the results. The proof is in the pudding. You know what I'm saying? It's there.
And so are you saying because of that, that's why Micah should not have a podcast?
I'm saying you got to realize there's a media side. I'm on this side where I say things that affect things. On this side, I'm on a different side than you play. I'm over here. Most players in their career and then come on this side like Keyshawn Johnson. He played for the Cowboys. But
there's a lot of players right now who have podcasts.
Not arguing with that. They don't play for the Cowboys. Go.
So you have a problem specifically with Micah doing it because he plays for the Cowboys?
In the way, excuse me, my throat dry.
Take a second if you need it. It's fine.
I was running my mouth. My throat went dry. Excuse me. But it's the way that the effect of it is like, look, to me, it's new. Maybe new things. Maybe I'm an old dog and it got to grow on me, but I just come from an era where we don't do that. Now, I'm not saying that I can't be taught a new lesson, but you got to show me first. And the season's not over yet. So I won't know until I know. But I know that now what's going to happen if we don't pass that hurdle, I guarantee you, I won't have to say it. I won't have to say it. You know what I'm saying?
You won't. But here's my thing. Okay, so first of all, when you're talking about the effect of the podcast, right? I think there's just so much out there in the universe and in terms of tweets, in terms of social media posts, media content, YouTube content. To me, I just don't think that there's anything Micah can really do that's more impactful than what's already out there. Because I don't think him removing his voice is going to have a great impact. So I'm like, if this podcast is something that he wants to do and it's something that he's good at, okay, by all means, you do that.
I'm glad. Go ahead, keep going. I'm glad you said this, though.
I can't remember my other point now. You interrupted me.
I was just like, yeah.
Oh no, in terms of not getting over that hurdle, how can I say this? There are so many things for them to think about in terms of how they're going to go about getting over that hurdle. I'm like, fuck a podcast. I don't care what Micah says. He can say whatever he wants. That is the last thing that they should be worried about. Let him say what he's going to say, and y'all focus on doing what you need to do.
Exactly. So here we go. You proved my point. What are we talking about right now during the football season? What are we talking about right now? Me and you, right now. What are we debating about? Are we debating about football?
Well, no.
Because we're focused on what?
Not debating about football.
Distraction is when we're off track, right? We're not focused on football during the season. What we focus on? We're focused on.
We make content
Yeah, but we're focused on Micah Parsons and his podcast, which means that's a distraction. So if we're distracted, how can you not be distracted? All we do is watch it. You make it. So we know you're distracted.
I feel like the fact that all we do is watch it is what makes it easier for us to be distracted. But we do it. Especially me.
You know how much work it takes to even think. Yeah, you're thinking about what? You're thinking about content, thinking about ideas, what I'm gonna talk about this week. That's not just, you're not just jumping on the camera, just going. Like, that is a mindset. Now, some people go home and play Madden. He's a Gemini, so Gemini's usually multifaceted. So he probably can do that. Maybe, like I said, he got to show me. But I haven't seen it successful anywhere for me to co-sign it. That's all. I haven't seen any teams that go out and do that win. I haven't seen it. So if I saw
the Kelsey brothers,
they did that after they won.
But they're still doing it though. And they still win it.
They did that after they won. And I'm pretty sure the things they're talking about are not things that Travis and Taylor Swift are everywhere. So their situation might be a little bit of a distraction, but he's already won as well. You know what I'm saying? I honestly really.
You think they're not still trying to win? You think they're satisfied?
Of course they're trying to win, but they know he's still also shown himself that he knows what it takes and knows what level of input and focus it takes to get there too. You know what I'm saying? You gotta get there. Like, to me, that's why I said, show me that. Now this is a new season, so maybe we would. I hope we do. And if we do, I guess I'll be the first to come back on your show.
I think even when it comes to that, there are so many other factors. Like, basically, Micah Parsons' podcast is a non-factor. When you think about all the other factors that impact whether or not the Cowboys beat the 49ers or the Eagles or get to an NFC championship game or a Super Bowl, when you think of all the factors that go into that, Micah Parsons' podcast is a non-factor.
I hear you, but we talking about it, so it can't be a non-factor.
We're talking about it. I am a self-labeled fangirl. Like, me talking about film and the game and all that bullshit, that's relatively new. Shit like this is like my foundation.
Right. Right. I'm like, it's definitely a factor. But, again, I'm not like, I don't hate Micah Parsons or anything like that. So it's just, it is what it is. I give my opinion, and that's it. Nobody got to agree with me. That's cool. And I honestly, people are usually upset with the things I say because I don't go listen to what the narrative is on our side, on new media side, before I say something. I do that on purpose because then I know I might have stepped in it, but whatever I said, that's what I truly thought at the time. It wasn't influenced by one of my homies or one of our group chats or our group texts. I'm not like, what's the consensus on this before I speak? Because I want to know what is my first feeling or first thought when I look up this player, this thing, this idea, and that's what I'm gonna say. Even if I don't think like, oh, damn, that's gonna sound crazy. I'm not saying it to be salacious. That's what I really think at the time. And if I change my mind, like I've changed my mind on LVE several times, right? So if I change my mind, it's because you show me something different. So if I change my mind on this topic, people will be like, well, you ain't say that last year. Well, he ain't win it last year. But if he wins it this year, I'm saying, well, whatever because it's working. So keep doing what you're doing. It ain't broke, don't fix it. You talking and we winning. Oh, well, it's working. You know what I'm saying? So
I want to see Micah Parsons and the Cowboys work on a lot of things that have nothing to do with anything that's in the media. I'm just put it that way.
We too, me too. But it's a little superstition. Like we used to do round tables, right? We used to do them any time of the season or before big games. We stopped doing them. You know why? Because we would do a round table and we'd lose a big game. So even us, we're superstitious like that. You know what I'm saying? We won't even do content before big games. We won't do it.
So you're just trying to hold Micah to y'all standards.
I only can be me. I only know me. It's just like Micah said, I only know my job. I set the edge. I don't know what nobody else is doing. You know what I'm saying? I'll use his words.
Well, that being said, I want to get to a couple of these comments, and then on the topic of what it would take to get over certain hurdles.
Right. Let's go.
I have another clip that I'm gonna play for you. Carlton, what's up, Carlton? We are going to talk about Colorado, just so you know. Carlton is a viewer who likes to hear me talk about Colorado, but is not a fan of the Cowboys. That's why I said that.
My bad,
Carlton said, media coach McCarthy or Jerry Jones will not tell Micah to get off his podcast. It's not a distraction. It's conversation because Cowboys are inconsistent. Cowboys win. No one says anything. You are absolutely right. But I think even if they don't win, there are other things that could and should be said. Reggie said it's a great conversation. Thank you. Aisha Morrison is in the house and she said, this is to me. to not let you off the hook, which I won't.
Get him. Get him.
Carlton also said Micah is part of the volume, like Draymond Green of Golden State. I think Micah's part of Bleacher Report, but I
think
feel
he's
who has a podcast. Micah and Cowboys just haven't accomplished anything yet, unlike Draymond and Golden State's 4 chips. I really don't like when people say the team hasn't accomplished anything. I'm like, the NFL has a single elimination playoff system, which means just by, like, regardless of how good you are, the same any given Sunday rule that applies to the regular season applies to the playoffs as well.
Right.
I don't think that's like proof all the time. Sometimes it is, of who's actually better. Like, take, for example, the 49ers. Had all their quarterbacks got fucked up when they played the Cowboys,
right,
maybe things would have gone differently. But that's not how it happened. The way it happened when the Cowboys played the 49ers was one of the Cowboys' biggest weapons got fucked up. And there were a lot of other issues, like, not making adjustments when that happened. Yeah. Like, there are a lot of things that you can point to. Like, I feel like we've seen too much good from the Cowboys to just be like, they don't win anything. They don't do anything. Like,
well, they hurt they actually hurt the quarterbacks, though. They hurt them. It's not like the quarterbacks just fell down. The Eagles hurt them.
Right, but it's also not like that was the first game they played. That was compounded.
Well, you go hurt somebody, then you could.
It's like playing Jenga.
Then we beat them. Hurt them. Don't let them hurt you. You hurt them. That's the whole point. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, the Eagles went out there and did their job. They were physical and they hurt them. So we need to hurt people.
So you think the Eagles intentionally took quarterbacks out the game?
Do you think, like, it's like this? Like, do you think people become cops because they really don't want to shoot anyone ever? Like, do you think that?
Okay, we're not going there.
So I'm surrounded by. I got family members as cops. They'll tell you. So okay. I asked that question as a metaphor. Do you think that violent football players are not violent? They're violent. They want to.
No, I think they intend to be violent. I think they go out there and they want to be felt. They want to be remembered. But there's no way I'm gonna take out your quarterbacks is part of the game plan. That was just a byproduct.
Well, maybe not dirty. We're gonna do it within the rules. But we definitely coming to inflict pain. That's what football is about. Like, that's what they
inflict pain is something different than taking someone completely
they're
out
not
of the
gonna
game.
die. Like, I'm not talking like, dirty Bill Romanowski. I'm trying to really injure people. I'm talking about they are coming. Like, if a guy hits someone and lays them out, they can't celebrate about it. But they still happy about that. They don't want him. They want him to make it home tonight, though, but not this game.
Of course. What I'm basically saying is the same way that the Eagles intended to inflict pain. Yeah. I think the Cowboys also intended to inflict pain. Yeah. I just think when the Eagles happened to do it, which happened to be after the Cowboys inflicted their pain, it's kind of like whenever you try to open a jar. Too. And then somebody comes along and they open it with one twist, and you'd be like, okay, I loosened it up for you, right?
Yeah. You on to something with that. I'll give you that. You on to something with that because I said that it's funny that we were killing C-Mac. We were cracking him, whether we got penalties for it or not. We were hitting him, and then he got hurt in the Browns game. He was banged. He was banged up in the was it Pittsburgh? No, it was the Browns game. And then who did they just play? Who did they just lose?
Who did Pittsburgh just play?
No. Who did the 49ers just lose? Oh, the Vikings. So he's banged up in both those games. And so is Deebo Samuels. But we were the first ones. They played us healthy. Like, we were the first hit. So I get you there. They got to just, they got the accumulative effect of what we started. So yeah, it was a physical game for both teams. I give you that. But when we say that they got to the Super Bowl, you could kind of discredit Hurts if you want by saying like the defense hurt their quarterback, so of course we blew them out. But they won because their defense hurt the quarterback. Like, they did it.
But that's what I'm saying. And it's not even that I'm so much trying to discredit Jalen Hurts, right? It's more so that I'm trying to get people to realize that the Cowboys not getting it to a certain level in the playoffs does not automatically mean they're a bad team. Now, there's some things that we can evaluate with the Cowboys, which we will in a second. But I'm just saying, like, this one thing, putting the weight of 30 years on Dak Prescott as though he came out the womb taking snaps, it doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't. But that's what he carries because that's what the media is giving him. So,
and that's not fair.
It's not.
That doesn't make it okay. I'm not about to support that shit just
stop
because
listening
it's the case.
to it and treat it. It's hard in this society because everything on social media, you on a meme, you everywhere. So it's way harder now than it ever was. So that's what I'm saying. You don't need any added incentives. It's already stacked against you. It's not like the 90s is like if it wasn't in the paper, it didn't happen. Who else was talking? Sports Center?
Hold on, I'm gonna read this comment and get back to that. Carlton said, Miss Jazz, I understand you don't like it, but progress over the years and get to the second round consistently or make it to an NFC conference championship game. That's why it feels that way.
Right.
Carlton, I understand why it feels the way it feels. What I'm asking people to do is instead of going by their feelings, is to actually look at the team and think about what it is that's making them feel a way and think about whether or not how they feel actually makes sense. That's what I'm trying to get them to do. And he said, it's been over 25 years. Come on, it's not just that. It's the Cowboys. First of all, there's a lot of fucking teams. There's several teams that have not won a Super Bowl ever or in 25 years. I don't know why people keep making this sound like it's a Cowboys problem to not win a Super Bowl in 25 years. There's 32 teams, which means if you expect a team to win every 25 years, what you're saying is that there's 7 teams who's not going to ever get one. It makes no sense. I don't care how you slice it or dice it. The 49ers also have not won a Super Bowl since before Micah Parsons was born. So I'm just like, what the fuck is the point in repeating that over and over again? All it is like, this is how I feel, and this is why I feel that way. And it's just like, look, and this is what I'm saying to Cowboys fans. Are you going to be a fan or not? Because just repeating a fact about history as though it has something to do with this current team is a bunch of bullshit. There are so many quarterbacks who did not win their Super Bowl within the first 8 years. And it took them their 9th year or their 10th year to get their ring. So why the fuck are we acting like something is wrong with Dak Prescott or wrong with this team just because every single detail, every single part, every single thing about the team, the coaching staff, the environmental conditions, the game has not come together in their favor in the time that Dak Prescott's been quarterback? Like, why are people acting like they don't understand what this game is? Like they don't understand what the playoff tournament is? Like, what the fuck, y'all?
Right. I mean, I get where you're coming from. All right. I get where you're coming from, and I understand what you're saying, right? But the history that they're carrying, right, is because we can speak about it not being fair, and I can't disagree with you saying that. But that's what he's carrying into every game, whether we like it or not. That's what he carries because that's what they put on him. And that's what he listens to. So
Carlton, you ain't making no sense.
Yeah, so he carries it. Go ahead. He carries that in the games. Like, so we can't erase that, even though it's not fair. You're right, but it is what it is. Like, that's what he's carrying in the game. He shouldn't have to. I'm not going to argue with you, but he is.
He shouldn't have to.
Yeah,
Carlton. Sorry, I shouldn't have said you weren't making no sense. That was a knee-jerk reaction. That was me responding to my emotions. I'm not gonna roll it. Be nice. Carlton does not have to stick to Colorado. Carlton can comment on whatever he wants to comment on.
But put him in a box. Don't let him put you in a box, Carlton.
If he does, I'm gonna have something to say about it.
Right.
The whole America's team thing is a marketing thing. That never had anything to do with Super Bowls. Well, I mean, I guess no. They were given the name before the Super Bowl run.
Yeah, so, it was just the 70s.
The name America's team didn't have anything to do with Super Bowls. It had to do with them being well known. And last time I checked, the Cowboys players are still the most well-known players as far as like an international audience in the NFL. The Cowboys franchise is still worth more than any other NFL franchise. The Cowboys franchise, if you compare it to some other franchise, is worth as many as 3 other NFL franchises put together. So yes, they are and will continue to be America's team.
Thank you.
And they do still, as a franchise, have more cumulative championships than a lot of other franchises.
That's also true, but you're proving the point as to why people don't like them. Right, that's the same thing.
People don't like them. I'm just saying it's ridiculous
because they're like, you are all those things. How are you the biggest or the best or the bright? You don't even win. That's what they're saying. You don't win.
Are you saying that fans are basically bullies? That they know the reasons that they don't like this team don't make any sense and have no basis?
That's
and
what they tell you on Twitter. Like, this is what they'll say when they argue with you. You haven't won in 30 years. You was a kid when you watched your Super Bowl. It's like, but you don't win. So that's how they look at you. Like, you are talked about like you are an upper echelon of teams, but you don't win anything. That's what. So everything you just described is exactly their argument, just from a different
Only
perspective.
7 other teams make it to the divisional round of the playoffs. That doesn't count as winning something?
They know that, but they're saying like the ones who are winning, right, don't even get as much fanfare and notoriety.
Whose fault is that? Whose fault is that?
Theirs. But it's still heavy is the crown. Heavy is the crown. See what I'm saying? So that's where we at. That's what come with the crown. You know what I mean? It is. That's what come with it. Now, you should judge guys though in Dak's defense and Zach Wilson's defense. I think the media should have a certain amount of non-biased behavior, and I think they should judge players according to a set standard, no matter how soft or harsh. I agree with that. That 100%. 100%. Just at the end of the day, keep it balanced. That's what he's saying, and I would agree with that. But the media going to talk about
Put a pin in
way
that,
more,
because we're coming right back to that. I just need to talk to the chat for a second. Rohit, I love you for real. Thank you for coming to the chat. But me and Carlton have a rapport. I know he's not going to agree with what I say about the Cowboys. That's understood, but he's respectful, so it's okay. It's fine.
They're trying to jump
but
over.
I appreciate you for coming to my defense. But it's all good.
Get you, girl. It's like, get him. Hit this man.
But on that note, when we're talking about everybody being held to the same standard, I want to play this clip for you. We talked about it yesterday, but I think you said you hadn't seen it. But it's Joy Taylor addressing or trying not to address, in my opinion,
this morning,
the interceptions committed by Jalen Hurts.
Man.
Hold on, what is my screen doing?
I am giving him a pass, but please stop doing that, Jalen, please. You're making it so hard for me up here.
Feel me?
Okay, please stop.
At 6-1, hard for you?
Please stop, because here's what it is. I'm not concerned about him. I'll say what you don't want to talk about Dak, so I'll talk about Dak for you. I feel like we're aligned on this. Correct me if I'm wrong, Shady. I think Jalen Hurts is more clutch. I think he's a better quarterback overall, and and I think he finds ways to win games, right? I don't necessarily put Dak all the way in that space because I haven't seen Dak do it yet. I haven't seen Dak in a championship game, therefore he hasn't been to a Super Bowl. I've seen Jalen do both. Jalen was All-Pro.
Hard to do.
Runner-up for MVP last year. So I'm going to consider his resume when I look at these mistakes. However, I don't think this translates well once you get to the postseason, which is what I am concerned about. Yes, they are still winning games. Yes, he is still playing at a high level. When he's not making mistakes, he's still playing at a very high level. And this game was a very impressive win because it's not like they just beat the Dolphins. This is a real blowout win for NFL standards with those mistakes. So imagine what could happen if you just remove those turnovers. I'm with you. I don't like turnovers. I'm not going to get up here and advocate for turnovers being a thing that you shouldn't worry about. But my concern for Dak Prescott, because I know Cowboys fans are just losing their minds, their necks are spinning around right now. My concern for Dak Prescott is, are you going to be able to overcome those turnovers? If you're going to throw these turnovers consistently, are you going to overcome them when it matters most? And the answer was no.
So the thing that frustrated me about that clip, oh, it's doing it again. There we go. So the thing that frustrated me about that clip was that she basically started off the clip talking about, okay, I'm about to give Jalen Hurts a pass. And she basically played the what if game. She played the what if game saying like, okay, well, what if we just remove those, you know? And it's like, if you think about when Dak Prescott actually did have a turnover problem last season, there were games that he had multiple turnovers and still won games. But people didn't acknowledge that the way that they're acknowledging it with Jalen Hurts. There were several games because for a while, I don't remember, at one point I counted, but at one point he was winning more games, even with multiple turnovers, than he was losing those games. And once again, as I just talked about with how it's like in any given Sunday thing that applies to the regular season also applies to the playoffs. I think a lot of that applied to what happened during the game with the 49ers in the playoffs that the Cowboys lost that ultimately got them eliminated. And I say that because, as I just acknowledged, there were games during the regular season where Dak Prescott committed multiple turnovers, had multiple interceptions, and the Cowboys still won. That happened to not be the case against the 49ers, but I think there were also other factors that were working against them. The play calling was shitty. They failed to adjust after Pollard got hurt. Seemed like their weapons weren't being used properly. At one point, it was no, the defense they did well. I'm not going to throw them into the mix. Although there are some people who have said things like, okay, well, they should have done X, Y, Z to make sure that the 49ers didn't come back, whatever. But I'm not going to hold that against them. But I do think there were multiple factors besides Dak Prescott's interceptions that led to that loss. And it just feels like when it comes to Dak Prescott's interceptions, it's like you're a bad quarterback and you're the reason that your team isn't doing well, despite the fact that sometimes you did lead your team to victories. Right. During the regular season, amidst your turnover issues, just like what Jalen Hurts is doing. But it's like they didn't automatically give Dak Prescott that pass. They automatically jumped on him about it. But with
You there? I think we froze. Hello? Can you hear me? Testing. Hello. No, still say it's going. Oh, there you go. Can you hear me? You got it on mute.
It won't let me.
There you go. I can hear you now.
Can you still not hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay, wait. Now I can't hear you. Hold on. This
Hold
sucks. On. Hello?
Yep, I'm here.
Hold on.
There we go. I was. Can you hear me now?
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
I don't know why I can't hear you.
I don't know.
Dang it.
Hold on. I'm going. Hello?
Hold on. Say something.
Go to your settings. And go to.
Hey, if you're in the chat, let me know if you can hear Akoye. Actually, I can't hear myself.
I can hear you.
I'm trying to figure out what to do right now. Akoye, give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Okay, you can hear me.
It's on mute. Hit the mute button.
No, the mic that's connected to my camera is muted. I'm going off my laptop mic, so that's why it says I'm muted. I'm actually not. But I think when the Wi-Fi went out, stop telling me to hit my mute button, y'all. I think when the Wi-Fi went out, it fucked up my Bluetooth. Hold on, let me disconnect and reconnect. Otherwise, I might just have to play you through my laptop and deal with the echo.
They can hear us. Can you hear me? You can't hear me. That's what it is. Yeah, I can hear her.
Akoye, do me a favor. Talk to the people.
Sure.
I'm gonna be right back.
I'll just start singing church hymns or something. Mess with y'all, man.
Let
me read the comments, see what's going on in here. Shout out to Reggie T.
Oh, fuck.
I can hear you now, and I can't see myself.
Nothing is going right.
He said, "Don't let him off the hook."
What are you doing?
I'm still here. He said, "How you ask a woman her age?" Who that Eastside hero going in? Martin Talk Cowboys. What's up, man? Where we going? Oh, y'all was grinding me up in here, man. They tried to tell me to shut the hell up. Right? Like, stop it. Oh man. Shout out to Ish, man. Where's who else? Black News Network, Media are the coaches. Y'all going in here. He said, "This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, but to get the tambourines out." Man, it's been a great conversation though. Like I said, I enjoyed talking to her because it's getting a female's perspective. But everything she's saying, that's why I was smiling. Like, keep saying it, like, because everything you're saying is the stuff that they're saying about us. So it's like they're proving the point. You know what I mean? Like we spent a lot of time, and I just my end of it, and we spent a lot of time distracted, even talking about it on this conversation. So I know it's got to be a distraction amongst them. Whether they can overcome it or not, that's up to them. But it's still something else. If you're not thinking about your task, it is a distraction. There's no other way I can think about that. Yeah. He said, "I thought I'd start church singing." Rohit Puri, what's up, man? I seen you before too. Day Williams, she said she can hear us both. Hopefully she jumped back on here, man. It's been a good one. But what y'all want to talk about? Because y'all in here. So can you hear me, Jazz? Can't hear you at all now. But what y'all want to talk about, man? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Testing.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay, I'm playing you through my laptop, so there might be a little bit of an echo. My bad.
No, I can hear you perfectly fine.
All right, what were we talking about? I didn't hear anything you said for the last few minutes.
I was going like, yes, at first the red team came. No, seriously, I don't remember exactly where we were in the conversation. So let the chat kind of realign us because we were talking about. Sheesh, I don't remember now. I really don't. I started singing.
We're talking about the Joy Taylor clip. That's the last thing I talked about anyway.
Oh, Joy Taylor. That's exactly what we're talking about. Oh, I was saying like, okay, so that's the point. Like what you just described is them moving the goalposts. So that's what they're doing. That's exactly what the conversation is about. Is like if your standard is quarterback is ass when they throw interceptions, if that's what you say, that's okay. That means Dak wasn't ass in the year prior to that because he never led the league before that. And also, it means that quarterbacks that do it after the fact, like this season, are also ass by your own admission. When you remove that off of them and set a winning standard now, it's because you didn't win a different bar. You moved the goalpost. That's what people are calling her out on, not your criticism. There's nothing wrong with what she said in a vacuum. Nothing. What's wrong with what she said is, in the way they judge is, it's not the standard for everybody. But what she said, if that's what she truly meant and thought, hey, I don't think that interceptions, if you win, it's about winning. If interceptions don't matter, then last season, everything you said, either you were talking and lying last season or you're lying this season, but either or, you said it. You know what I'm saying? So that's what people are talking about.
I'm going to tell you what I do think is wrong with what she said in the vacuum. It's the fact that this is actually a good opportunity to have a conversation about quarterback development, and it's being derailed by, hold on, I can turn this down now that I don't have my headphones. But yeah, this potentially good conversation about quarterback development is being derailed by this whole conversation about who's ass and who's not. Because one of the things that's interesting about this to me is that what we're actually watching happen with Jalen Hurts is him trying to evolve as a quarterback. And in February, I was a guest on someone else's show, and they asked me to rank quarterbacks in the NFC. And I put Dak and Jalen 1 and 2. And I said I didn't feel comfortable putting Jalen Hurts over Dak Prescott because Jalen had not been through as much as Dak Prescott. Like there was an adversity that Dak had to face on and off the field. But even if we just look at on the field, between the injury, O-line issues, a fucked up wide receiver room at times, like there were so many things that Dak Prescott had to deal with and had to overcome. And even though he didn't win the big one, he still had to win consistently, or was expected to win consistently during the regular season amidst all of that, right? And we hadn't seen Jalen Hurts deal with any of that. And I literally said, Jalen Hurts just had his first significant injury. After Dak got hurt, he all of a sudden wasn't a running quarterback no more. Right. Jalen Hurts just had his first significant injury. So let's see what happens with him.
Right.
And I feel like what we're seeing happen, and I don't know if it's specifically in response to the injury, but what we are seeing is him trying to evolve in ways that Dak already has evolved. And so I'm like, one, I do think it makes sense to give him some grace, but I think we also should have given Dak some grace after a major injury, surgery to his hand, and having to deal with changes in terms of who was on the field with him, and just some, questionable play calling, if we're being honest. And right now we're watching Jalen Hurts trying to evolve as a quarterback. We've got a new OC, a young OC who, based on the standards of people who have been doing this longer than me, who actually are analysts, they say that OC is not really doing that great of a job right now. And so I'm just like, this would actually be a really good time to talk about the development of Jalen Hurts as a quarterback and talk about Lincoln Riley quarterbacks and what they go through whenever they enter the league and how there are all these high expectations. And then it turns out like Lincoln Riley actually just has like this really good eye for the types of quarterbacks who are very mobile and will put the team on their back. And he gets away with that shit because it's in college, but then they go to the NFL and it doesn't really fly the same way. Let's just put it that way.
Right.
And so that's the problem that I have with it in a vacuum, is the fact that these are paid professionals and they're having conversations that I was about to say like us, but it's like their conversations don't even involve as much depth and detail and attention to the nuance of the situation as our conversations, in my opinion.
Yeah, intentionally so. If you can avoid a topic, that means you can see it. You know what I mean? You can't avoid a thing unless you know exactly where it is. So the fact that they don't even discuss the fact that Dak broke his hand last year, they know he broke his hand last year because they talk all the time about Cooper Rush playing. He wasn't just playing for no reason. Where was Dak? What was he doing during that time? You know what I'm saying? So they avoid that conveniently. And the fact that they can continuously do that shows you that they're doing that, on purpose. They know exactly where the bodies are buried, so to speak, and they know why they're saying what they're saying. But I agree with that. Like you have to judge evenly across the board. But and also, it's not just a Lincoln Riley thing. It's all quarterbacks that come into the league have to develop on a different trajectory, and that's all predicated on the scheme that you're going into, what type of or front office structure you have. Because do you have a coach that don't even want you? What did the front office draft?
Broncos?
Yeah. Did the front office go get them, or did you? Did you buy the groceries, or did they? So you got that going on where that quarterback might not last very long, because if that coach can't even decide on what type of players he wants, that tells you everything you need to know about his tenure with that team and how long he's going to be there. So now you got a quarterback that's coming into a situation where their coach or maybe their offensive coordinator might be on the hot seat, and they have to deal with this guy and try to win with this guy the best way they can. So it even behooves them to hold those quarterbacks back by using their athleticism early in their career to win games, which takes away from their development. Now they're not developing when they're playing that early because they're using that athleticism. Look at RG3. Like, he never got a chance to really develop, and that's same thing. The old Michael Vick to me was better than young Michael Vick, the way he can throw the ball. Like, he came back better, but it takes time for quarterbacks to develop. Aaron Rodgers is one of the greatest, and we watched him develop, on the bench. And then he got to develop behind Brett Favre. So he hit the ground running because he got to sit on the bench and just learn. You know what I mean? Tony Romo got thrown into the fire, but he developed right in front of our eyes on the field. And there's some quarterbacks that do that, like Ben Roethlisberger, so on. So you're right when you say any quarterback, not just Lincoln Riley quarterbacks, they all need time to develop. I don't think the story is told on them in any quarterback in their first 2 years, because their first year, maybe even their second year, no matter how good they are, the film catches up to us all, everyone, because you have tendencies no matter who you are. So once they know that, they're going to play to those tendencies. And now you have to be able to counter those. And that's a different learning curve. So we watched Dak go, like you said it. You were right. Dak went through all of that, playing with the offensive line that was the greatest at that time versus not having that. And now we got a Frankenstein offensive line that we're just now kind of putting back together. Finally, after 3-4 years of, Gilliam Bear with Fredericks and all these different elements to this team, right? Now we're finally putting that puzzle back together. But now Dak has learned how to get the ball out fast. He learned how to quicken his release. He learned how to set and slide his protection because it matters. Our running backs learn how to pass protect because they have to. You know what I'm saying? We don't have the luxury of sitting back there for 7 minutes or using Dak's legs. He broke his leg. He had to stand in the pocket and learn. I have to know pre-snap and post-snap what's going on because I can't bail out anymore. I can't run. I got to learn it. Jalen has not had to do any of that yet. And that doesn't mean that when he's done doing that, he won't be better than that. But you can't say he is until he's done it.
Thank you.
How much he wins. Did he do that? There's quarterbacks that are out of this league that weren't anything that were orchestrated according to the scheme or the team, and they got to a playoff or got deep in the playoffs or got in the Super Bowl. Mark Sanchez, and nobody would say Mark Sanchez is better than Dak, but he went to an NFC Championship game. I wouldn't say Rex Grossman is better than Dak, but he went to a Super Bowl. So when you judge by that rule, you kind of screw up the whole thing in the first place when you judge. It's a poison pill because there's bum quarterbacks that have Super Bowl rings because the team
100%.
around them was so good that they have Super Bowl rings. So when you make winning the only litmus test, if that's what you want to do, cool. But when you do that, you're now don't tell me about Dan Marino anymore. He's a bum compared to Trent Dilfer. Dan Marino ain't got no rings. Trent Dilfer got a ring. Is Trent Dilfer better than Dan Marino?
They're setting on these shows,
It's
like
ridiculous.
they would be doing exactly that,
It's
right?
ridiculous.
But that's why I said I don't like what Joy Taylor said, even in a vacuum, because everything that you just said, everything that we just said, that should be the conversation.
But
If you're actually trying to have a good
vacuum,
conversation and educate fans, I think that should be the conversation, not this bullshit that they're doing.
Well, wins is the poison pill. Interceptions, you can judge by, I mean, if you want to, you can judge by how many interceptions the guy throws. That's something that he can control. Cool. That's statistical. That takes ability to not do. If you want to judge by that, cool. But you can't change from that. It can't now.
Right.
That's no longer a criteria now. But that's fine to judge by that one. When you judge by wins, that's team. That's team and head coach and front office. That's not just one person. No one like Dak. If you really want to be technical, Dak did everything he needed to do to win his rookie year. It was our defense got a ball caught on them on the sideline with Cooks, the tight end in Green Bay, and they were able to kick a field goal and win the game, right? But Dak did everything he could do to put us in position to win that game. If anything, that's the best big game. They say he's never played well in the big game because we didn't get the win. But that was the best statistical big game he's ever had, and that was as a rookie. I think he had 340 yards that game, and we were down the first half. Him and Dez went off. So in the second half, they went off. So Dak has played lights out. That's the whole thing.
Yes.
He needs to know himself. Stop listening to the bullshit. You've already had big games and won or did well, even if you didn't win. It wasn't because of you. He didn't lose that Packers game. It wasn't because of him. Not his rookie year. Now, Seattle, the next year where he threw an intercept pick six, that was you. See what I'm saying? But I'm gonna tell you that's you. You know what I mean? So that's all we're saying is like you can judge by quarterbacks, but that's what I judge by what you're doing on film. That's cool, fine. But I'm going to judge everybody by that. So when they say I hate on Jalen Hurts, I judge Jalen Hurts the same way I judge my own quarterback. If not more, I judge Dak harsher because I want him to win. I don't even want Jalen Hurts. I don't care what he's doing. So when I say something about him that might sound derogatory, it's just what I saw. I don't care what Jalen do because what he eat don't make me, So I don't care what he's doing. I don't care what no other team is doing, really. But I'll judge them based off of, let me see and compare what Dak is doing or not doing versus what the so-called greats are doing and not doing. And when I compare the film, a lot of them are using their athleticism at this stage in the game. And he's very cerebral because he has to be. You see, he's not as fast as he used to be. He's not running and lowering his shoulder like he used to, not stiff-arming guys to the ground and screaming at them like he used to. You know what I'm saying? So he had to learn different facets of his game. Sort of like, and they hate this comparison, but Peyton Manning, when he broke his neck, was not Peyton Manning before he broke his neck. Like Broncos Peyton Manning was not young Peyton Manning. No. He had to learn to change his game. He would just take sacks by just laying down. He had to change his game to preserve himself because of what he went through. And Dak has now adjusted his game to everything that he's going through as well. And those other Josh Allen is still jumping over guys. You know what I'm saying? Jalen Hurts is in a play that everybody wants him to stop doing. I'm like, let him do it because he's going to get hurt eventually. You know what I'm saying? Let him do it.
The only way
it
to
makes no sense.
Stop it is going to ultimately lead to him getting very hurt.
It's not a smart play.
It's a matter of time.
Anyway. So why would you want your $250 million man getting crushed 10 times a game? You know what I'm saying? So like, hey, you want to give those guys what they're not doing. Teams are trying to stop them rather than just taking free hits. Like just hit them. You're getting an opportunity to hit a quarterback that's running you head first. Hit them. You know what I'm saying? Hit them. Stop trying to grab them and pull them anywhere. Just hit them. They'll stop doing it real fast. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I think. You know what I mean? So for me, it's all these guys are using their athleticism and they're getting away with a lot of it. They said Herbert is better, but you see any quarterback that gets in trouble, that's in trouble in the pocket, is going to have a bad day until they learn how to navigate that and how to read the blitz. And I watched that, learn that on like in front of my face. I watched him not be able to do it, and me watch the film, and we all scream at him and say, you're not good because you don't see that they got 10 people in the box trying to stop Zeke, and you can't hit Dez on the outside. He's one-on-one coverage. Just throw it up there. It's that. So we went from that phase to him finding Coop everywhere. Like we were just the number one offense, and he was just high flying and greatest show type thing, right? Just scoring. Then it's like we got to find something else because he's not the guy that can't hit the side of a barn anymore. They even came up with a dance for his throwing motion because he worked on his mechanics. So we can see that he's working. Now they busting on him for having half a football field in his backyard. So he's dedicated to getting better. I can see that, right? So cool. What else we gonna talk about? Now it just keeps progressing. You know what I'm saying? It had to get beyond ability, and all that tells you is, again, if someone can avoid something, that means they can see it. They avoid talking about ability because they can see his ability.
They can see it.
So they have to talk about something else. So you avoiding it means you looking right at it. I can't avoid where you are on the screen without knowing exactly where you're situated. Otherwise, I'm going to make a mistake and cross eyes with you or look at you. See what I'm saying? If I can avoid you, I can see you. So if you can avoid a topic, you know exactly what it is. That's why you won't say it. You know what I'm saying? So that's what they're doing. That's what they're doing.
How much longer do we have you? I want to read a couple of comments, and that's going to lead it to.
I'm a free man. I'm not free in the sense that I don't have a curfew, put it that way.
Okay. I'm going to read a couple of comments, and I think it'll be a good transition into talking about Colorado. Starting with Rohit's comment, said, Jazz really indicted Lincoln Riley right there. Watch out, Caleb Williams, the same expectations, if not 10 times more, are going to be heaped on you, and you'll be dissected when and if you struggle. Rohit, I made that comment about Caleb months ago. Before this season even started, one of the things that I said was that Caleb was going to have trouble in the NFL because last season, at least, he was a one-read quarterback. And that was what led to a lot of the phenomenal highlights that we would see, because he would do one read, and if it wasn't there, he would pick up the ball and he would either run with it or do something else crazy. And it led to these like really wild plays that were super impressive on tape and him getting the job done in just unpredictable ways. But it was also stuff that you could tell wouldn't translate to the NFL. It was stuff that, like, at best might work a couple of times before defensive coordinators figure it out. But at worst would really piss off your coaches. Like, nobody wants to deal with that unpredictability. Like, Lincoln Riley likes it because his defenses are trash. And so he kind of needs somebody who's willing to like put the team on his back in that way and just figure out a way to get it done and score all these points to counteract all the points that are going to be allowed by the defense. So he needs that. It's not the same in the NFL. And you got all these people who want him to be their first round pick and who are expecting like, oh, Caleb's going to come in. He's going to change the game. If he's on my team, he's going to do da-da-da. No, he's going to have to develop just like Baker Mayfield, just like Jalen Hurts. It is going to take time. And one thing that I will give Caleb Williams props for is I do think that he started to see it in himself, because this season he's a lot better at multiple reads. It does seem like there are times that I've seen him and it almost looks like he's trying to show a little bit of restraint in terms of like, no, I'm not going to pick up this ball and scramble or make a run for myself. I'm going to look for someone to get it to when he has enough time. So I do think he's getting better at it, but I still think he's going to need time to develop. And I think that time while he's developing, while he's not going to an NFL team and doing the same thing that he's doing for USC, he's going to get a lot of hate. He's going to get a lot of people who call him a bust, just like they call Jalen Hurts a bust, because they did. People try to act like they didn't, but they did. It's documented. The same thing's going to happen to Caleb. I don't want to see him go through that, but like I already see it coming.
Well, I think the pushback that you're getting is that's college quarterbacks today for the most part. Like a lot of them, I mean, look at it. You got Justin Fields, Trey Lance. You know, they're cut from that ilk, you know, where they're athleticism quarterbacks. We used to have a sprinkle of them in the league before. You had the grandfathered in guys that were still pocket passers and were cerebral with it. And then you had a sprinkle of athletes. Now you got everyone's an athlete. You know what I mean? The majority of the quarterbacks in the league right now are athletic quarterbacks. Lamar Jackson's athlete. You know what I mean? You got Love, who you can say is athlete. Justin Fields, athlete. Trey Lance, athlete. You get what I'm saying? You got guys that are relying. Even Watson, if you want to say that, he's an athlete. Hurts is an athlete. You know what I mean? These guys are athletic, run first mentality quarterbacks, and the learning curve for them is different. Not because they're slower, but because they never had to do it. Like, why would you stand in the pocket and stare down a blitz and take a hit to deliver a ball when you could just move?
Exactly.
Your instincts say, I can beat this guy in a foot race. Why the hell would I take a hit? So they end up not doing that because they can do something else. Even Josh Allen does. It's not just a black thing. The running quarterback doesn't mean black quarterback. You know what I'm saying? Josh Allen does it too much. Ben Roethlisberger used to do it too much, but his body started breaking down, and he had to learn to throw from the pocket. They all have to do it. Tim Tebow had a hell of a run until people say, hey, we're going to stop the run, and you got to throw the ball now. You got to learn to throw. You got to do it. And if you can't do it, you will be exposed. Well, you want to get exposed doing that earlier, not late. You want to go through what Jalen went through early. You want to go through those growing pains early because you get the character thing out of the way and you're not having this inflated sense of self thinking that you're better than you actually are and not working on those things for 2 to 3 years. And sometimes that happens due to injury, like Trey Lance. Unfortunately, it didn't come from hubris with him. He just didn't get to work on his game because he was injured. So now people don't care. They know you were hurt. They feel bad for you. But you went 3 years before we haven't seen you. We haven't seen you do anything. So they're like, piss, shit, or get off the pot. We got this other guy that can win. Like your seat is now being replaced, and that's what happens whether you like to say it or not. People's spot really do get lost due to injury or due to lack of productivity,
lack of development.
In the time frame.
Yeah,
that doesn't mean you can't develop possibly in the future. Like look at Geno Smith. He looks good now. So he just needed time, and that learning curve is different for each quarterback, depending. And I don't think it's not that far off. But how many quarterbacks get to come to an OC or a head coach that has tenure, that's stable, that's going to be here, regardless of how Mac Jones you might look? I'm still going to have a job, so I got time to let you get through your growing pains and figure it out. Troy Aikman was 1-15, but if he was with a team where, hey, your coach gonna get fired that first year when you 1-15. We invested in, so we're gonna keep you. Now you got a whole nother coach.
People don't think about
who didn't ask for you. He don't even know what to do with you because he don't know what the first coach saw in you or what he was trying to even run. You might get what I'm saying. So those things kill quarterbacks before they even get a shot. Not just all players. Defensive coordinators, get promoted or leave too, and then players get lost in the sauce because they don't fit the new scheme that's coming in. So. That happened to Roy Williams here. So it's like, that's just the nature of this thing. You know what I mean? So like when I look at that and I see guys say that a quarterback that has to go through those things is better than one that has, it's like, based on what exactly, and I can agree or disagree with you. Because situationally, depending on what you're talking about, I could probably agree. He's more athletic, sure. Cannon for arm, like physically gifted, probably. I would say so. You know what I'm saying? Faster, taller, or about the same height, I guess. Can throw further. Is he more accurate? I don't think so. You know what I'm saying? But he gets time. He got a great line. He got things that you can say, okay, if this is what you're hanging your hat on, you can judge on that. But when you're talking about is he a cerebral quarterback that can pre-snap, set his stuff up, and then post-snap recognize what you're doing, look safeties off? I'm not seeing him do that. The interceptions he's throwing are straight to guys almost every time. They're not all pop-up interceptions off of some guy's hands or this guy didn't run the right route. It's like, no, when he finally does get in trouble, when Lane Johnson goes down and you actually have to deal with pressure for a change, you fold. And we never get to see how you deal with the blitz or how you deal with pressure because teams don't blitz you because you can run. They don't want to let you get out in the throwing lanes. Teams don't pass rush you because you can run. So they just contain and shrink the pocket and watch you stand back there. If beating you is easier to beat you by letting you stay in the pocket than it is coming after you, that tells you everything you need to know. If I shouldn't want you back in the pocket for 4 or 5 seconds if I'm a defense, because that means they got to cover longer. That's bad for me. You know what I'm saying? So when they don't come after him, no one pass rushes Jalen Hurts like that. They just contain because they don't want him to run.
Let's take a quick detour here.
Sure.
and then after this, we'll probably talk about Colorado for a little bit.
Okay.
But I want to take a quick detour because, you're talking about what Jalen Hurts is and isn't capable of, how people are playing him. A lot of people are attributing the Eagles' success, especially considering what we saw in this last game between them and the Dolphins. They're attributing that to their physicality. They're saying, oh, the Eagles are so tough. They're scrappy. They're just going to get it done regardless. Right. And then with watching the Vikings play the 49ers, there are a lot of people who are like, well, the Vikings won that game because they played like they had nothing to lose. They just went out there. They were aggressive. They took it to the 49ers. They made Brock Purdy uncomfortable. And so that's why they won a game that almost nobody expected them to win. And so when we think about that, and we compare it to what we're seeing from the Cowboys, which a lot of people would call the play calling conservative. I personally do not want to hear another press conference where Mike McCarthy says he overreacted or was conservative on purpose. I'm going to scream. So what do you think that could possibly say about the Cowboys prospects? Are you in the camp of thinking that they need to be more aggressive? The play calling needs to change? Or do you think that there's a way for them to find, like individual players to find aggressiveness within the plays being called, how they're being called?
Good question. Well, I think it's kind of crazy that you even asked that because the segue that we were just talking about was development, right? Well, we have a new offensive coordinator this season, right? And that offense, you have a playbook that always starts off inflated. And then based off of successes or failures, it shrinks throughout the season. Well, our playbook never shrunk in the first couple of weeks because we were blowing teams out and we never got to get through the playbook. Dak wasn't playing. The offense wasn't not performing because they were trying to score and couldn't. The defense was scoring, so the offense didn't need to score. The offense's role was to keep the lead and close out the game and let the defense keep eating in those games, because the defense was what was winning those initial games. So it was a different style of offense on purpose. It was clock management less than trying to score. So you can attribute them not getting up. They were getting up and down the field better than anyone. Their red zone, I even looked at that objectively. If I see a ball that gets overthrown or you're throwing interceptions or you just don't know what to do in the red zone, then I can call your red zone offense bad. If I watch Shoemaker drop 2 touchdowns, 2, okay, I watch Hendershot drop 1, and I'm not trying to come at those guys. I'm just saying this is what happened. They dropped touchdowns. I watch CeeDee Lamb not rub on a route against Arizona where Cooks was coming across the middle, and Dak had a blitz in his face. He had no time to get off of Cooks and get to CeeDee. It was only one read on that play, and if he would have got rubbed, it would have been an easy touchdown. And Dak held it, got pressure in his face, and overthrew it because of the pressure in his face. So that was a touchdown opportunity. And if they were just playing on the same page, no one was playing, out of the scheme, we would have scored on that play. We had plays where we watched CeeDee Lamb get a pass interference on him, blatant pass interference. He was right, but he complains and the ball bounces up in his face. That was if we score on half of the ones I just named, we wouldn't be talking about an offensive problem because you have a team that's getting up and down the field and that will be scoring in those situations. And I know that if was a fifth, we'd all be drunk, right? And all that, right? But that's still contextually the truth. That's what's happening when they get down there. If he was what's happening when you get in the red zone, that's the rest of the story. Are they just conservative and not taking shots in the end zone? That's not what we just described. But are they executing and finishing? No. So they need to finish. They need to execute. But the design is fine. If it's dropping off your hand, that means if you caught it, then we wouldn't be questioning the play design. We only question the play design because you dropped the ball, not because they couldn't get you the ball. You know what I mean? The play worked.
I'm sorry, I've been trying to find a way to get my hair off my neck all night.
No, you all good. So I'm just saying the play definitely worked. So I watched a lot of that. And then sometimes if I was going to criticize penalties, yes, that's coaching. Or not using certain personnel packages in the red zone like Hunter Lipke, that's coaches. I can give them that. So there's some personnel decisions that seem questionable. I'm going to say that. I can say bad or good because I don't know why they're doing it, but it's questionable, So they have that on their side. But as far as execution, they just have to. The team has to finish. But if I could see that the play design is working and you're just not finishing, I can't come at the coach for that. You're dropping the ball or you're not running the route. Do it, and then I can assess him. I can't assess him until you properly execute. Now, if you execute and it's like you're going short of the mark or the play design is just not working because of something that schematically is happening, then I can come at the coaches. But that's the players. Like, there's nothing wrong, in my opinion, with a team that can get up and down the field slowly in between the 20s, because that's how we wanted to design this team, and that's how we should play to win. I think when we get anxious and try to push the ball, that's when we're playing out of character. And the reason we got blown out so bad in the 49ers game is because that is one game where we were playing out of character. We were trying to push the ball down the field when we are a methodical, slow-moving offense. Play to who you are. And that is the criticism I have for these coaches. We will walk away from ourselves. We just did the brotherly shove the last game. Why? We're not the Eagles. We do things differently around here. You know what I'm saying? They do that. Let them do that. We're not the Eagles. We got Hunter Lipke. Hand him the ball. Let him do his thing. Something like, you know what I'm saying?
That's different. Legit. And even thinking from that perspective, had some of those situations you described not gone down the way that they did, maybe McCarthy would feel more comfortable being a little bit more aggressive or calling things a different way. But it's just like, if you're doing things and you're seeing that, like, okay, we went to the intermediate level and that's not working. Folks are dropping passes. There's interpersonal issues. So we're going to stay at beginner level until y'all get y'all shit together.
No, they ain't
so
got it.
That
right.
makes sense.
Why
That's
would
a perspective I hadn't really considered before.
Motions and more confusion to a team that can't line up correctly sometimes? You know what I'm saying? Well, that's defensively. But why would I add more to that? You guys aren't getting it now. Like, these are baby steps. You know what I'm saying? They're not getting it now. So that's up to the players to kind of lock in. And that's the other reason I was saying, like, they already are acting distracted. They need to focus on their craft right now. All of the players, Micah included, all of them need to focus on their craft.
Leave him alone.
I'm gonna leave him alone. But I'm just saying, lining up off sides for curse. We've been seeing like boneheaded penalties on the defense and offensive side of the ball. A lot of them. So, and some of them are legit. We could say the refs are against us, but face mask is a face mask. You know what I'm saying? Unnecessary roughness is an unnecessary roughness most of the time. And I'm seeing them. Illegal hands to the face is illegal hands to the face, Sam Williams. You know what I mean? So these things are happening.
Free him. Like, for real, free him from the roster.
He's talking to the police because he's not talking to the Cowboys. They freed you already. They already set you loose. You got to do something when you're in there. And when he's in there, he's more likely to get a penalty than make a play right now. And even when he made the plays that we like, he was being a wild man. I said this morning. He was being a wild man when he did those. We call him slam because he picked a running back up and slammed him on his head, which I like. But it still was borderline unnecessary rough. They just didn't call it. You know what I'm saying? So he plays like a man with reckless abandonment. And there's nothing wrong with the passion. It's just temperate so that you can use it to it's like the force, man. Like, temperate so you can use it to your advantage, and instead of letting it work against you. And right now he's working against himself. He is.
I'm going to get to a couple of more comments. Let's see. There was one by... Oh, there it is. Brother L said, are we only doing football or including any trending topics? Asking for a friend. Brother L, go back to the beginning when we talked about men and women and dating and strip clubs and strippers.
Yeah. Oh, that was crazy.
And if you have a really, really good question, we might revisit that. But yeah, we talked about that for a minute. Brother L, thank you for showing up, by the way. Thanks for coming to the stream and being in the chat. But he also said the running backs coach coming back to the team is huge in terms of the play calling too. ... I'm hoping. Let's all hope.
Right.
Do you have any thoughts on that, Akoye? Or you just wait and see?
Hold on.
I'm waiting to see personally.
Whose question was it? Say the question again.
Brother L said, he said the running backs coach coming back to the team is huge in terms of the play calling too.
Hell yeah, he's coming back.
I hadn't heard that until just now either, but
if he is, yes, he need to come back because they're not running the same. TP don't look like himself, and I don't know what it is. So yeah, was it Skip? I think his name was. Get him back here. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
let
I
me
think,
Google it real quick and see if I can find you any
yeah, if
details.
he is really coming back, I would really love that, because I thought that was a problem. Like they kind of clean house and scorched the earth after last season, and he was one of the coup de grace, and I think they need
It
him back.
says running backs coach Jeff Blasco returned to the team during the bye week. Head coach Mike McCarthy announced Wednesday following a health-related personal leave of absence
Oh
that
no,
began just prior to the Week 1 season opener.
oh, so it's not Skip, it's not the guy from last season,
No,
but
it's the new
it's
guy, but
our,
apparently
but he
he hasn't
wasn't
been around
here.
since before Week 1.
Oh, that makes sense. That actually makes
Yeah, it's like,
context is everything.
you don't say.
That's
So
wild.
who's
Yeah,
been the acting running
really.
backs coach? Why are we just now hearing about
This is why we have trouble with is Lipke. Why don't we know what Lipke's doing? Why we still don't know what Deuce is?
A lot of
Because you don't
questions.
have a coach that's in that room saying this is what these guys are. You know what I mean? These are my guys. You know, this is what he
Yeah.
can do. This is what he can do. This is what he can do. You know, you don't have guys making those subs either. So that
So it's
makes
not
sense.
Skip Pete, but we needed somebody.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah,
It does.
I thought he said Skip Pete was coming back to the team. I was like, Skip need to get him back here. Something wrong with these dudes.
And then Carlton, this is from earlier when we were talking about Jalen Hurts. He said, not the same, but Jalen Hurts' adversity started at Alabama and being replaced in second half of the championship game, transferring to OU, getting drafted to NFL 3 years ago, and forced to play on a less talented team. Carlton, friend, I love you, and I love you for consistently showing up to my streams. But what we're not about to do is compare that to the pre-NFL adversity that Dak Prescott faced. That's what we're not about to do. You were right with your first 3 sentences. It's not the same, and honestly, you could have stopped there. Because just everything that he dealt with, from the DUI to his mother's health issues and eventually passing away, that impacts how a person approaches not just the game, but life. Right. Like the fact that he kept going and kept playing so consistently after that and playing at a high level, and then having to deal with the way fans turned on him after, just having this phenomenal season and then just not being able to duplicate that the same way, as though that shit's easy. The way he fell in the draft, there was a point in his college career where a lot of people expected Dak Prescott to go in the first round, definitely second round, definitely not falling all the way to the 4th round. So if we want to talk about adversity that was faced on and off the field, Dak definitely faced more, even in his pre-professional career. And then as far as being forced to play on a less talented team, that's not exactly Dak Prescott's story as far as whenever he first joined the NFL and first was starting as a rookie. But let's fast forward to some of the things that happened throughout his career.
Jalen
even last season, it's like we talked about his injury, we talked about his interceptions, but he was literally throwing to dudes. There were dudes getting significant minutes who aren't even seeing the field on their new teams, who are barely getting snaps, who are playing special teams. Some of them are playing special teams at best.
Right.
So maybe he wasn't drafted to a non-talented team, but Dak's definitely had to deal with talent issues and injuries and lack of talent around him. So, no, you will not convince me that Jalen Hurts, in the time that he's been a football player, has somehow dealt with something that's comparable to what Dak Prescott has dealt with.
That's the long answer, but it's true. It's true for sure. You're right though. He hasn't, and who knows what he goes on or he goes through off the field, but. Jalen was a higher touted player, and I think the expectation, that's the difference. I think in one of Tarantino movies, he says, what's the difference between a squirrel and a rat other than a fuzzy tail? You know what I'm saying? The difference between Dak and Jalen is expectation. They expect Jalen to play well and want him to play well because he was a higher touted quarterback that is supposedly physically more talented. Like I said, all those positive attributes, they expect it. That's why they say things about Fields and all these guys that are athletes that they justify going in the first round, because those first and second round grades come with an expectation of this guy is good. He's a second round grade. I can't be wrong about that grade. He's good. He's the deal, right? This guy is a 4th round guy. I can't be wrong about that grade. He can't be a first round talent. He's a 4th rounder. He can't be good. So perception and their beginning or starting perception is the hurdle that both of those guys are dealing with. Jalen has the pressure of being expected to be good. Dak has the hurdle of not being expected to be anything. You know what I'm saying? He's trying to overcome that while Jalen's trying to maintain this poise and level of professionalism and I'm a winner, this mentality that he has to maintain because they started off now even worse. They're on a standard where he's like, hey, we went to a Super Bowl already. So now not only am I expected to win, I'm expected to keep doing that. You know what I mean? While I develop. So get what I'm saying? They're just there's two different curves, but they're both under pressure. But like you said, Dak is coming from he's starting to race further back than Jalen. Dak's not even expected to be able to overcome a division round game. Like there's just no way he could ever win. You know what I'm saying? That's the way they talk. Like they talk like in the future, no matter how many years we go, he'll never do it. So that's the only thing I'll push back against when we talk.
I'm gonna say this one last thing about Dak, and then we'll talk some more about Colorado. Mm-hmm. But one thing I think you and I have agreed on tonight is the fact that a lot of the criticism of Dak is rooted in arguments that basically make the criticism unfair for various reasons, whether it's moving the goalposts, whether it's based on something that's more of a feeling than a fact. A lot of what he deals with is unfair. And he is carrying the weight of 30 years of history on his shoulders. People are expecting him to live up to people who have long since retired, people who were playing the game literally before he was born, and he deals with all that. And yet he consistently week in and week out deals with having to talk to the media before games, after games, during the week. He has to. And the most rude thing he's ever said is, appreciate that. After 8 years, the rudest thing he's ever said is appreciate that. And I just have to, on one hand, I commend him. On the other hand, I feel like I just can't imagine just the internal turmoil that must exist to have to live so much of your life not being able to, presumably not being able to be yourself, not being able to express yourself.
I think that when Dak gets to a point where none of that matters, that's when he'll become unflappable. The fact that he does think about it, that's what's hindering him right now because he's choosing to carry it. They might say it. That don't mean you got to believe it. You know what I'm saying? They might say you're carrying 30 years. You got to decide whether you're carrying it or not. You know what I'm saying? They can judge you however they're going to choose to judge you. Obviously, they're going to move that around no matter what. So you can't care about that. When I see that you do, it's still work to be done. You're still triggered by that. You know what I mean? It has to you'll see how Parcells handles the media, sort of like Sean Payton handles the media. Bill Belichick is mean with him. He's just I'm tired of you. But Parcells used to be so crafty with him. He make them feel stupid for the questions that they ask while making them laugh at the same time and feel low. You know what I mean? But he understood how to throw their energy back in their face, so to speak, or use their words against them. When you're allowing them to just hit or punch down on you, so to speak, right? It's not about taking it. It's about transmuting it and using it. You know what I'm saying? It shouldn't bother you anymore. It's whatever the media is saying about you at this point, you're deciding to carry. And that's why I kept saying earlier, treat it like it's any other season or any other game. The Patriots used to say, we're 1 week at a time. They're like, what about playoff? No. We worried about next week. That's it. We ain't thinking about that. Super Bowl, I ain't thinking about the divisional round or Super Bowl. I'm just worried about next week. I want to hear that from all those guys. Just worried about next week. This guy next week. That's it. If I see them again, you don't want no trouble if I see you again. I'm worried about next week. That's it. Just next week. There is no see them again. We got to do our job next week to even talk about that. So I'm going to worry about what's in front of me. You know what I mean? Control the controllables, which is what I can do right now. Any energy that's casted out beyond that creates anxiety. When you put energy into the future, it creates anxiety. When you put energy into the past, it creates depression. So if you want to make you want to see a team play anxious, keep talking about shit that they can't do nothing about right now. Like the Super Bowl.
I'm not following you down that path because I'm not about to talk about Micah's podcast again.
Keep talking about it. It's cool. I know what I'm talking about.
Carlton said, what do the Cowboys do after this year? Do you give Dak another big contract? Dak has to be held accountable for something. Dak has to be mentally stronger and just do the job.
See,
I think Dak is actually doing great at his job, Carlton. Is he the best quarterback in the league? No. Do I expect him to be paid like the best quarterback in the league? I do not. Dak Prescott's current pay, I don't even think he's in the top 10 when it comes to pay right now.
He's not.
So I expect him to be paid like a good quarterback because he is a good quarterback. And he's had to deal with a lot. He's had to do a lot with a little. And like I keep saying, he's done more with the Dallas Cowboys than what most quarterbacks do with their teams.
Oh, okay.
Most teams, and this is just numbers, there's 32 teams, only 8 of them make it to the divisional round. So, like, no, he didn't get to an NFC championship game, but did he lead this team to further than a lot of teams get to? Yes. Right. Did he have a better record than most teams do? Yes. So I feel like that deserves some acknowledgement.
Yeah, it deserves. But see, I'm
not going to sit here and say that Dak's not doing his job,
right?
Because he didn't win.
But that's why I'm saying he's choosing to carry it. Why are you like? They can choose to talk about your interceptions last season and not talk about the fact that you didn't throw them before that. But you don't have to listen to that because you know you, right? They can talk about the fact that you didn't win a championship game, but you know you just went 12-5 2 times with an offensive line that was being shuffled around. You know that about yourself. So you got to look at yourself and be like, I'm him for doing that. You know what I'm saying? So instead of trying to rise to their new standard, like, no, know who you are. Like, you already know what you could do because you did it already. So coming back from even the injury and all that, like everything he's done post, contract, even he's gotten better in my opinion at a lot of things that I can verify and look at on film. If I can see it, I'm gonna say it, and he does. He's gotten better. So he has to know that. Go ahead.
Not only that, but I have yet to hear any coach argue against the idea that any quarterback in the NFL goes through more than the Dallas Cowboys quarterback, whoever that happens to be. And outside of a few moments, for the most part, Dak has carried that part of his responsibilities very well. And I can't say that just anybody in his position would have been able to do that. It's like, we don't know. We haven't seen like quarterbacks who perform better than him on the field also try to deal with that in terms of what he deals with from media coverage and media scrutiny and his obligations in terms of media availability, right? But it's just the fact that he's been able to balance both parts of that, I do think makes him valuable as a quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys, because that's an important part of the job.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of quarterbacks that will fold under that kind of pressure. And that's why I think Jerry is keeps coming out saying that he's sold on Dak. And me personally, I'm one of those guys where I look at it like, if I already dug this far, like we already this far into the game, let him finish. That's what I want to see. Now, can he do it? We're gonna find out, but I'm not gonna say he can't or can. I just do it. Don't tell me you can. Show me. Just let him do it though. I'm that guy. You know what I mean? I'm not throwing in the towel. Let him go out on the shield, and then I can say what he could and couldn't do when it's all said and done. Now, when his career over and you say, yo, he never got to a Super Bowl, Dan Marino, something like that. Okay, now you can say that. But until that day comes, or until he's no longer a Cowboy, and even after he's done being a Cowboy, he can win it somewhere else. So until he's no longer playing, it ain't over. That's how you got to look at it. And if he goes out there with how can I have any other mentality than that when I know for a fact that that's the mentality that he must have if he's the quarterback of this team in order to win? Because if he don't think like that and he think that he can't, then we won't. Right. So I know he can't think like that. So how could I if I'm rooting for this team? So when people say we will never get past that point, then what's the point in rooting for the team?
Thank you.
Now, if we could get rid of him and you could give me a guy that I know, hey, Peyton Manning, youth, they cloned him. He's coming out of retirement. Boom, plug and play. He on the bench right now, and Dak is not giving. Okay.
But even if we clone Peyton Manning, like Peyton Manning didn't win his Super Bowl until his 9th season.
You're right about that. I'm using that as just like a blatant crazy example because people talk about it and don't have a place to go with it. Like, okay, so what you said, let's just rebuild and start doing what the Bears are doing. Let's start doing what who is doing, like what the Green Bay Packers are doing right now. They're not like crap or what the Broncos are doing, you know what I mean? Or what the Cardinals are doing. Why will we rebuild? We have a good team. Now, if we're going to win, we got to win with him. So stop telling me what he can't do and start telling me how could we do it with what we have. Get it? I've seen prisoners that escaped prison with a spoon. You know what I'm saying? Because they wanted to. They said, how? They didn't say, I don't have a shovel. They said, how can I get out of here with this? So how can we win a Super Bowl with whatever you think Dak is? That's the point that I think from. not thinking Dak is the greatest in the world. How can we win a Super Bowl with the skill set that he has? Is how this team has to think, how this fan base needs to think, and how he has to think. Because he doesn't need to be a world beater for us to win. And once we all realize that and start playing within ourselves and calming down and not being so anxious, and those quote unquote big games are just another game, then we will keep having this problem until they all get that down. And they haven't yet, because they're all over the place. And that's where I say coaching comes in. Tell these guys, take the brunt for these guys. If you're Mike McCarthy, take the heat off of them. Talk a little bit so that they don't have to. You know what I'm saying? And also calm them down and let these guys know, these guys who haven't all been here before, is just another game. Stop putting all that on you. Stop walking in here with that. And when I tell my fighters go out and they fight, my guys in Morocco and Nas and all those guys, my guys in Mexico, when they go out and fight, it's just a sparring match with no helmet, with no headgear, man. That's what I tell them. You do great in sparring. This is a sparring match with no headgear and faster gloves. That's it. Stop treating it like it's those lights. Stop treating it like it's a big thing. It's just you just sparring in front of people. Treat it like that. Don't treat it like you're in a fight for your life or for your career or none of that. When you do that, you're putting too much on it in the first place. You don't need it.
Agreed. Brother L said, also regarding knowing who you are, I think Dak has the self-awareness and self-belief. He just can't control a lot of the dialogue or questions media may ask him. Agreed. And he probably doesn't have the leeway to just be like, I'm not answering that, or walk away. Speaking of which, I heard Micah Parsons had kind of a spicy interview today. But before I haven't seen it. I was gonna like do a live reaction with you, but I do want to say a few things about Colorado before we get into that, just because I put Coach Prime on the thumbnail and I feel like we got to talk about them.
Okay,
Even though this
you're right.
Cowboys
We're almost 3
conversation has
hours
been
in
great.
and we ain't talking about them, right? We talk about Clippers, but no Prime.
When it comes to Colorado, they're in a unique position right now because speaking of pressure on quarterbacks, there's actually pressure on Shedeur as a quarterback, on Deion Sanders as a coach. Even Shiloh, I think, gets a little bit of heat just by nature of being a Sanders, right?
Right.
And what's interesting to me about their situation, something that kind of parallels the Cowboys, is that they're getting a lot of media attention that people feel like they don't deserve because they haven't earned it based on their standards, right?
Right.
But if you look at what's happening with the program, in my opinion, I think it's actually something that people could be inspired by, you know, just to see the way Coach Prime came in, took the tools at his disposal to completely change the team around, which he had to know there was going to be pushback to kick out most of the team, honestly, and be like, yeah, y'all thought y'all had these scholarships for your whole college career. Nah, out, hit the portal. And so compared to last season's Colorado football team, they're doing pretty well. You know, last season's team only got one win, and the Buffaloes right now are, what are they? Are they 3-3 right now? Is that what it is?
I think so.
Yeah. They've won more than one game.
Right.
But they've had a lot of disappointing moments, you know. And so
depends on
it
how
feels
high
like
you
there's so many
them.
parallels there.
Yeah, I never thought that they were going to have. I mean, it would have been great if they did it, but I never thought they were going to have this undefeated Cinderella season. No. I just thought that he was going to come in and do exactly what he's doing, which is making a lot of noise and making waves, right, and disrupting the industry, so to speak. You know, whether it be through the NILs that his sons is getting and he's getting, or just the way he approaches the game, and like you said, comes in and kicks the entire team out. I think the inspiration from they're 4-3. I think the inspiration that comes from it, though, comes from the fact that, you know, he's showing that you shouldn't. He's saying exactly what I'm saying to Dak. Don't care about what none of these guys think. Like, you know, do what you do. You know, he has like a quote that he said, "You think I care what your opinion of me is," or something like that.
Right.
You know, that quote is crazy. So yeah, he's inspiring a lot of people, and yeah, he's disrupting and frustrating other coaches because he's changing like the status quo, and no one wants to feel insecure in the industry that they've been dominating for, you know, X amount of time. That's why the NIL was so daunting to get done in the first place, because, like, you know, coaches had a way of doing things and they had a different leverage point with those players when you were holding NFL and scholarship over their head versus, at the while making money off of them. So a lot of things are changing, and he's like the spearhead to this new way of recruiting, this new way of playing, because we can talk about what Colorado's team did last season, but last season's team ain't this year's team. Just like yesterday's price ain't today's price. You know what I mean?
And
like,
next season's team won't be this season's team.
Exactly. So but he came in and he understood, like, if I'm gonna win or lose, I'm gonna do it my way, the way I want. And that's all I'm saying Dak needs to do. Stop any of them. Like, if Jerry's gonna fire you, okay, I'd rather ask for forgiveness than permission. If I know how to win, I'm gonna win, whether I'm Mike McCarthy or Dak. I'm gonna do it my way. Now, if you're gonna fire me anyway, then you're just gonna have to do that after. That's what Jimmy Johnson had that these other guys since him haven't had. Is he was, the type of person that he's gonna do what it takes to win. He wasn't worried about what Jerry was talking about. He would even talk about Jerry. He wasn't scared of Jerry. Everyone else that's come after that has been sort of intimidated by the aspect of possibly losing or pissing off a guy like Jerry Jones. And that's been one of our biggest problems, because you're not seeing what those coaches I think Parcells gave you his best shot, but he was fighting the front office too, so you're not seeing what those guys can do. But that's what I think, our coaches deal with on a regular, but they have to overcome that in order to motivate this team to get them where they need to be. And the same thing goes for Colorado. It's like Deion has that. Like, Deion is the type, he's like, I might not be here for a long time, so I'm here for a good time. Might not be a long time, but I'm gonna do it the way I'm gonna do it. And if I lose, I'm cool with that, because I know I can't question what nobody else told me to do. I didn't move the way this organization wanted me to. I moved the way I needed to, and I did it. So I asked for forgiveness, but never permission. You know what I mean? And that's the mentality he has, and he's looking for a room full of guys that have that. No matter what their talent level is, he knows he can win with that. So when he say you don't believe, that's what he's talking about. Like,
right,
you don't buy into the idea that even you can win too. You think that you think like what they say about that. There's a limitation on where you can go. So you don't belong here, because we don't think like that around here. That's what he's saying to his players. That's what he's looking for. And when he say you don't believe, he's talking about guys who still don't think they can, because of different environmental circumstances or just something internally, but he could see it. You know what I mean? And he's talking about it. You know what I mean? And when I say it, or when we say it about our players on our team, I can see it. I don't have to be Sigmund Freud or Carl Jung to know when I see a trait or a pattern in players or in certain behavior. So I'm like, I can see it. They're doing it. So I know they're getting too amped up, because that's when our penalties go up. That's when our interceptions go up. That's suddenly you forgot how to play football. You forgot what plays worked for you all season. No, you're not thinking, because you're reacting. You're emotional. You're anxious, and you need to calm down. That's all you need to do is calm down, and we can play with anybody if we're poised and under control.
Now, on that note, let's talk about another parallel, and that is the public perception of the quarterback, public perception, media scrutiny, so on and so forth. So shout out to Black News Network, who was here earlier. I don't know if they're still in the chat.
Oh, yeah.
But they posted a video recently where they had talked to some NFL scouts about Shedeur. And apparently there are some teams who think that Shedeur has too big of an ego. They don't like the whole watch thing. They don't like some of the things he said in the media. They don't like how he defends his dad, going center field when Coach Prime was supposed to shake hands with the Oregon coach, for example. And he was talking about the fact that like only a couple of teams seemed fit to like deal with that kind of personality. Now, I don't think the Cowboys would be in a position to draft Shedeur whenever he does enter the draft.
Right.
But I do feel like, do you think that that's something that would be a better fit for the Cowboys because he's used to the spotlight? Or do you think some of those same gestures, some of those same actions would also be issues for the Cowboys?
No, that's Texas mentality. That's what he has. Like, think big, and no, every team doesn't like that, because some teams feel like that's hubris and you know you're asking for it or you're too arrogant or whatever. But I like it from him. I might not like it from every player, and it's not biased when I say it. I like it from him because of what he has to endure and where he comes from. You know, he came from HBCU. It's not about a racial thing when I say that. It's because he was already counted out. My brother is like if he's around, Maine is like a football. He's a quarterback and he's a quarterback's coach. Like he knows quarterback. He taught me how to assess quarterbacks. Like he's a quarterback. He was a great quarterback in Ben Salem. He was that guy. Like he's a great quarterback, right? Good quarterback. I ain't gonna say great because he ain't playing in the NFL, but he's good. He has a quarterback mind, right? And when you look at when I brought up Shedeur before this season, even him was like, "Oh man, they're gonna get run over. They're gonna get run through. This ain't no HBCU. This ain't D2. This ain't this. This ain't that." And he's like, first game, he's like, "Damn, I was wrong." He said it. He don't even say that about the quarterback. He's like, "I was wrong. I thought that this, would be a faster game for him or too physical or whatever." And he's like, "Nah." He said he really got it. So I think that's why he's so boisterous about it, because he's like, we do belong here. You know what I'm saying? My dad, it's not just his dad, like, do you belong in the coaching ranks? You know what I mean? But it's you too. Do you belong in the playing at this level, or is it that your dad brought you here? You're only here because your dad brought you here. You're only here because you prime son. You're not it. You know what I mean? You just here because of him. You're not good. So
And
that's where it's coming from. So I can take it from him, because walking in a great man's shoes is hard to do. And you see a lot of guys either fold under like pressures of drug and peer pressure, or just fold under the media pressure of that. And he's rising to the occasion and stepping into his own. So he has to do that to kind of carve out his own name in such a great light or shadow, if you want to say that, under prime. He gotta be that guy. He gotta act like he's that guy, because that's what shadow he's under. You know what I mean? If he was the opposite, they would be judging that. If he was like, well, he's nothing like his father, he's a shrinking violet or something like that, right? That's what they say, a wallflower, whatever, right? You're nut.
but not only does he have to be that way, but it seems like Deion Sanders trains his sons to be that way. Like
Yeah.
he wants them to be that way, because not only, like, you can see it in his sons because they've spent so many years with him. So you
Right.
can hear the way they echo his mindset, and a lot of the
Right.
phrases that he uses, they use it too. And the way he likes to speak affirmations, they do it too. Like watching videos of Deion Sanders Jr. and watching him talk about the growth he anticipates for his media brand, and talk and talk and talk about it. It does remind me a lot of, just watching Prime talk about the things that he was going to win and the money that he was going to earn. And so you can tell there's certain things that he's instilled in his sons, right?
Right.
And you can also see that echoed in a lot of the things that Coach Prime is trying to teach the team. Going back to what you said about the importance of belief and things of that nature, you can tell a lot of the things that he's taught his sons over a lifetime. He's trying to get all these young men to kind of think that way. He has to boil it down and deliver it a lot quicker,
Right.
because he's not spending day in and day out with them for years. But you can tell, like, okay, this is part of the mindset I'm trying to instill. This is part of the philosophy I think that you need in order to get out of your situation.
Right.
And so I think a lot of what we see in Shedeur, like, yeah, a lot of it does come out and it's manifested itself because of the situations that you just mentioned. But just today, Bucky posted some videos of, when they were playing on a high school level or pre-collegiate level. And, it was a lot of the same stuff. It was a lot of the same talking themselves up, talking about how good they are, them knowing who they are, knowing how good they are, wearing the jewelry, not shying away from the lifestyle. So a lot of it really is just part of who they are and who Deion Sanders wants them to be.
Right. Well, here's the thing though, right? We're talking about two opposite ends of the spectrum. You see that? We were talking about how Micah Parsons, how his words impact or don't impact the team, right? So I know what Micah Parsons attempted to do. I know what Prime is doing. I know the reason Prime is doing it is because he needs attention to get recruits, and he also needs to galvanize players who might not be at the level. He don't know if they're at this level yet or not, but I know I can't get them to play at that level if they don't believe they're at that level.
100%.
So I have to be the guy that's like, I'm putting it on the line so that they do raise to that level, right? But I can understand that, and at the same time tell you what the consequences of it is. And Travis Hunter getting injured is a direct result of it, right or wrong. Teams,
that was such a terrible situation.
That team had an extra incentive to not only, we're not just playing just another game. I want to hurt you because I don't like y'all. Get it? They don't need any extra incentive. They already want to beat you. But when
How
we
do
go
we get back to Micah's podcast?
Hey, you see how I came full circle? They say the ball don't lie. You know what I'm saying? But you see how I came back to a circle like that? But they're on the opposite end because I get why they have to talk. They have to talk because they're not the Goliath. They're not America's team. You know what I mean? They're the underdog for real. The Cowboys already are looked at like a Goliath anyway. That's what I'm saying. So Alabama don't need to talk. You know, they already are the guys that they don't need to give anybody any extra added oomph to play them, because when people see Alabama on the schedule, they say, oh, I'm getting up for that game. When people see Cowboys on the schedule, they say, oh, I can't. We're going to be on prime time playing them. They get the most prime time game. We're going to be on prime time, and I don't like them. And they didn't draft me.
And even if you're not on prime time, it's still going to be a lot of eyes.
Yeah, so they know that. They grew up liking the Cowboys or hating them. So they want that game. They circle it on the schedule. You know what I mean? Then they hear about it every week. Oh, we about to get talked about finally. We in Cleveland. They don't talk about Myles Garrett ever. Oh, I'm about to get talked about this week because we play the Cowboys. You know what I'm saying? Like if they were playing us. You know what I mean? I'm about to get talked about this week because I'm in a small market, but we playing the Cowboys. They get up for that game. If for no other reason, then they get more attention that week. So, and they know if they make a splash that week, it's gonna stick. They're gonna make an impact in the league when they play us. So they don't need it. Nobody needs it because they already got it. That's what everybody is screaming at them. They're not saying shut up because you don't know what you're talking about. You right, bro. But you don't need to be waving the white. You waving the white. You trying to negotiate with terrorists. You trying to negotiate with lions. Like they are lions, bro. They are hyenas. They not your friends, my man. Like they don't bang with them like that. That's what I'm saying. You know what I mean? They don't need it. You say, Debo, you don't want to play us again. It's personal. Are you telling the 49ers it's personal? They like, bro, it was already personal. What you talking about? It been personal for us. When you just catching up. We already don't like
that part. I will admit was disappointing. I'm just like, did you not know this was personal? Like what?
You just got here? You know what I'm saying? Like it's been that. This been that. We've been not like Joe. That means you was liking us too much. You gave us too much respect. It's a real thing in boxing. You can have a guy who is, and that's what I coach. So that's what I always go to for references because that's what I understand the best. But you can have a guy who is like the LeBron James of the game. Like he could do everything I asked him to do. Got power, got speed, got athleticism, reflexes, everything. Good chin, but doesn't believe that he has it. You know what I'm saying? He don't believe he have it, so he don't act right. You know what I'm saying? He's giving it, so he gives a guy because of his name. Oh, this guy had X amount of amateur fights, and he a blue chip prospect. So when you sparring him, you giving him way more respect than you should give him. That statement proved that you were already giving them too much respect. If you now saying you don't want to play us again because now it's serious. It should have been like that anyway. What you thought he was doing? You thought they was playing with you? They wasn't playing. There wasn't nobody. Remember Friday he said, "Ain't nobody playing but you, Smokey." Like ain't nobody playing but you. Like they not playing. They not taking pictures with your jersey behind them. They're not talking about how good a player you are until NFL top 100 comes around in the off season where ain't nobody around. They're not going to the media or going to a show saying how great you are right before they play you or right after, giving you incentive to play them again harder than you after you got stumped out. You know what I'm saying? You just said they stumped us out. Hit me harder. You know what I mean? Like, okay. We already know, like, okay, like no problem. So to me, it's wild to do, but it might work. I'm not here to say that it's impossible for it to work. I just have never seen it where, and I can't give an example. Even the prime time, we're talking about prime and talking about Colorado, like we were getting back to that. They should have and could have had two other games. I think they lost games based off the fact that you already have teams that you got to play that are better than you anyway. Right. Now you're playing these teams that are not looking at you as, oh, that's just Colorado. We're gonna play Colorado. They're looking at you like, we playing prime. all that shit they talk to, and we already got the top. We got a bunch of 5 stars on this team. Oh, let's show up. We're gonna try to stump them out, and then they're gonna get it from the other side, the guys who aren't that good. You know, they're gonna get up for you. So they getting everybody's best punch,
like how ASU did.
but they can't go to free agency and just grab players. They gotta actually recruit next season to get those players on the offensive line to be able to help you. Yeah, they can't just go get another one. Like, hey, give me a guy. They can't do it. So it's hard. It's gonna be hard on them because of that. I think they would win more talking less, but they're in a conundrum because he has to talk to get the players that they need in the future. So he can't stop.
I will say this about the media coverage. I know more about last year's Colorado team than I could have ever wanted to know because they keep getting compared to this year's Colorado team.
Right.
But on the flip side, I think some of the good things that we've seen from Colorado have come from them having so many eyes on them because they really showed up in the game against USC. Like, I think people I won't even say I think. People definitely expected that to be a worse loss than what it was, especially after what happened against Oregon. Yeah. But one thing that we see consistently from Prime, and as a matter of fact, was it after the Oregon game? I'm trying to think when this quote came up, but there was a footage of one of the team meetings where Prime said something along the lines of, you had 9 million eyes. You had 9 million pairs of eyes on you. You had an opportunity to show them who you are, and that's what you showed them. He was expressing disappointment, basically saying, like, you could have showed them how great you are, and instead you showed them the opposite, right? And so then whenever they showed up the way they did against USC, to me, that was them kind of responding to that call of, like, show these people who you are, which you can't really make that demand of them if nobody's watching who they are. Now, fast forward to their last game, the ending was disappointing. But one thing that we did see was for the first time this season, they came out to a fast start in the first half. So I personally am really expecting to see them put it all together in this next game against the Bruins. Now, based on your experience as a coach, your experience with the game of football, do you think the media coverage can also have that positive effect? Or do you think that, especially specifically for this team, that we actually might see them do something special this weekend?
Well, so the two questions. So one is, can the media have a positive effect? Yeah, it depends on what they're saying and how you're perceiving it. So yes, I think I think Prime wants to be the underdog. So even when the media, he set their mindsets up so that even when the media says something negative, their process is to use it as fuel. That's what the watch and all the extra is like, look at me now energy, and that's why the whispers are people don't like them for it because it's the media that's writing it, because it's the media that doesn't like them for it because they're in their face and rubbing it in, making them eat crow when they do well, right? So they haven't forgotten. The Prime even said it, like, I remember what you wrote. I remember who you are. You know what I'm saying? You don't believe. So they make them pay and they keep receipts, So of course they're going to get the negative backlash, but he has his sons and his team set to use that as fuel. So they actually play better because they're young, but they get motivated and play better with the angst that comes with that because he needs them to believe, that they're better than they actually are and to look further and the dream big in order to play big. He needs to get the most out of them. Whereas I think when you're on a professional level and you're the Cowboys, the reason I say they're on a different end of that spectrum is we know you guys are all great because that's why you guys made it to this level. We know that. We need you to zero in and be focused and disciplined, be professionals, know your job well, you know what I mean, and do it.
Yes.
Even if it means fall on the grenade for the team, this play or this down, this game, do it because that's what we all are here for. Like that takes a different level. That's not hero ball, like we say. That's what Deion's asking for. He asking for hero. He's looking for heroes and dogs, right? We got them. We need you to like follow command and do what you're supposed to do. We need you organized and disciplined. You know what I mean? And I think that's why the message is counterproductive for professionals or old grown men. They do say that like guys like Pete Carroll have trouble at the pro level because motivating kids is easier than motivating a bunch of rich grown men, because they don't need all that. They want like they like Navy SEALs. Like, what do I do to beat this guy? I don't need to get hyped, coach. Even Marshawn, like, I'm not jumping up and down, bro. I know what to do. You know, he said out of his own mouth, I ain't doing all that. Just tell me when's my turn. You know, tell me when we running power. That's all I need to know. Or tell me technically
I also think
how to beat this guy in front of me. You know what I mean?
I also think some of Coach Prime's ability to influence them in that way comes from living some of the things that he's telling them about. Like he himself has done things that people said shouldn't be done or couldn't be done in terms of playing multiple positions, in terms of like the amount that he got paid, him putting out a music video when he did, playing multiple sports. I was at a function with some of my nerd friends, and we were talking about the SNL impersonation, which was terrible, by the way. But somebody was like, Deion Sanders, wait, that name sounds familiar. Is he a sports player? And I was like, that is an unintentionally accurate description of Deion Sanders. But because he's gone through that, he can tell these guys, like, yeah, people will say you can't do this, you shouldn't do that, and but you can. And here's proof. It's standing in front of you. And I think that has like a really big impact as well.
Right.
I'm going to show this comment from Carlton, and then I'll do a live reaction to Micah's interview today, and then we'll get out of here. Cool. And Carlton said, for the record, I'm a UGA fan. Awesome. I just found this pod one day and was intrigued by the name of the pod. And after listening to you for a full episode, came back to listen to the content. Respect. Thank you, Carlton. I love having you in the chat when you're here. It's awesome going back and forth with you. And thanks for sticking around as a subscriber. It means the world to me, honestly. All right, let me pull up this video and we'll see if what Micah had to say was as spicy as people say it was.
Oh yeah, I watched this.
Oh, you watched already?
You know, the bye week's always good. Mike usually gives us a little bit more time than most places, obviously, because he knows, how much it wears down on you throughout the year. So I thought the bye week was good, productive, and always fun.
What did you do? Did you get away? You stay here?
No, I was here for a little bit, just playing some 2K and some Madden, and I just went back to Harrisburg, watched my son play football. So that's always good.
What's one of the biggest challenges in facing Matthew Stafford in an offense that has weapons like Pua and Cooper Kupp?
It's always a great challenge. Obviously, he's a Super Bowl champion. He knows how to make all the passes, all the reads, look you off, things like that. Super dynamic. The record don't show how really good they are. So we definitely got our hands full going into the Sunday.
How much do you look at how they handled other elite pass rushers like yourself and how they handle them and get an idea of what their plan might be for you?
I mean, you look at it, but everyone's different. Every game is different. I mean, I might see how they might block TJ Watt, but they might handle me a little bit different. I mean, that's all part of the game. It's chess, adjusting throughout the game and things like that. So I just know I probably got my hands full going into Sunday.
Is that the fun part for you, just trying to make them try to figure out what you might do?
Yeah, for sure. And where I'm going to be at and how to find me. And I thought, Dan's been doing a great job in putting me inside, outside, things like that to make it harder for them.
A lot of times we ask quarterbacks, like when they're going up against another quarterback, for you as a defensive player with Aaron Donald on the other side, like how much first admiration do you have for what he's done and going up against a team that he's on?
Obviously Aaron Donald, it's probably a lot of kids' heroes growing up, and the things he's done in this league is just things that haven't been done. Once again, he's a Super Bowl champ, and I mean, it's just amazing what he's accomplished over the last 8-9 years or so. So obviously super excited, always happy to play against him. Always keep that in the back of my head when I'm playing, just because I might surprise him or, we've obviously talked over since I've been in the league. So, it's just always good.
The Rams are pretty much an 11 personnel the entire game. What comes with that as a defense when that's their way that they're going to attack you?
It comes over like it's basically saying we're going.
Hold on, Akoye, you said you watched this already?
Mm-hmm.
Does it get good at any point? Not that it's not good, but
they're going to get to a point where they ask him about what we were just talking about, like the media and his take on it, and he makes sense. Like I said, I can agree with something you say and still not like the whole process, right? That was, I guess, that's still going to be my reaction to him. That's kind of what I was reacting to, because he says some things in this interview that touch on why he does it. Like, defend. You don't know what guys go through. He talks about that. Like, you don't know what guys go through when they're at home or what their mental, space is. And he makes sense with that. Like when you're talking about Dak, like, forget that Dak lost a brother during, his ascension, so to speak. Right. Like, and then he lost his mother during his ascension. Just because that happened and it's old news to us, trust me, I lost a brother at the same time. It ain't old news to him. You know what I mean? So, I get that part of it where it's like you don't know what guys are going through on top of the stuff, the crazy stuff that you're just running off at the mouth saying these ain't toys that you playing with. These are people. You know what I mean? So he did.
What is he?
Huh?
I'm trying to figure out where he said that. Hold on.
He's gonna get to that.
You guys coming out of the bye week, you're 4-2, and you gained some ground in the NFC by virtue of the Lions suffering another loss, 2-game losing streak from the 49ers. How important is it for you guys to make a strong run coming out of the bye week?
It's extremely important, especially now that we're heading into November and in October. This is when it really starts to pick up either the schedule, the strength of the schedule, and face the end.
Because you have the team, do you feel like others are like thrown off guard by that? Other media members or other former players who try to attack?
I don't know. I want to hear the question.
We face early on, except we
defend not so much yourself, but the team.
A little bit further back.
Thrown off guard by that? Other media members or other former players who
you didn't get the whole question.
Yeah, for sure.
Thrown off guard is defend not so much because you have a strong voice and you do defend not so much yourself, but the team. Do you feel like others are like thrown off guard by that? Other media members or other former players who try to attack you guys?
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, if you watch the show, I don't even really defend us too much. I accept everything of the reality of what we face with. It is what it is. I really defend other players because I just believe you should stand up for people. I mean, you shouldn't just watch people throw dirt on people's names. At the end of the day, especially former athletes, whoever's on the thing and however you want to do it. I think Ryan Clark does a great job. I think Dan does a pretty good job. Because at the end of the day, it's not about, the player. It's about the person, right? You don't know what that person's going through. Yeah, I could come here and smile and give you guys a great, speech about what we could do this game and things like that. But in reality, like, y'all would have no idea what's going on at home or what's going on in my life if I didn't tell you to. So if I get on my podcast, if I get on TV and go, XO, whatever quarterback is completely trash, he's shit, he don't deserve to be out there in the field. He's not a guy that should be in the NFL. And this guy worked his whole life to get there, make his moment, get drafted, sustain. The hardest part is staying in the NFL. So he's still here. And somehow this guy don't deserve to get on the field. What am I to do that? Who am I? I'm nobody. I'm a 1% in a huge organization that in 10 years from now, if I'm still here talking to you guys, there will be another Micah Parsons or whatever that you guys is talking to. But I'm just a small piece in this dynasty or this legacy that the NFL has built. So, I mean, who are we to talk about people like that? And, that's one thing that I really feel strongly about is that these guys come and do that. But you wouldn't like if somebody came and talked to you about like that. If you wouldn't like, it's like growing up getting picked last. Like, you wasn't the person. If you picked last, like, damn, like, and then they was like, we don't want to play with you, you suck. And you felt the type of way. It's almost the same thing, but now you doing it publicly where millions of people see it. And then now you creating their opinion, their narrative, and you really have no idea what this person's opinion. And people actually start to believe these people's opinions. Like, it's a constant cycle of just bad media, bad people, of, tarnishing people's names. Just like when, I don't know if y'all saw the Dodgers baseball player. A lot of people said he was a predator. A lot of people were saying all these bad things about this guy because of these takes that people said about this man. And turns out he was innocent. People just a constant talk about the media, about how people are just getting thrown down in the media. I don't stand up for that.
You bring a lot of energy and passion about a lot of different subjects on your podcast. How are you able to do that? Are you ever time where you're like, I don't even feel like doing this right now?
Nah, I mean, obviously, the podcast, some days, especially after losses, I know I'm going to hear it in the chat and things like that. And obviously, you don't want to hear that always, but in the end, I feel like I got a job to do. I got to almost tell the people what they need to hear, what they want to hear, or what they don't want to hear. That's the job. I know there's some days you like, I don't want to cover this. If we play bad, you like, man, I don't want to put this out, but this is the reality.
So you really think Travis Kelce's playing well because of
No, I didn't say that. I didn't say
Is
that.
that what you
I
telling
say
me?
that. I didn't say that.
Okay.
I didn't say that. See, he's taking it again. He's taking it. I did not say that.
Micah, for you though, with the Cowboys brand being what it is and your profile rising as quickly as it did, do you almost feel like you have a platform now that you want to use for good and for that reason?
Yeah, I always want to use my platform for good. Because at the end of the day, like I said, this game goes way far beyond us. It's about the kids that's 5 years old, 10 years old, 15, that look up to us and watching us. So how I handle myself is how those guys are gonna handle themselves. But if I'm out there showing myself and they think it's okay, then that's what they're gonna do. So these kids is imitating us, and that's one thing because I know a million kids look up to Steve Smith. I know a million guys look up, especially young broadcasters look up to Stephen A. and things like that. They look up to us. When you're at the peak of your career, people say, "How did you get there? How are you acting?" And I think sometimes people forget that sometimes. And I always think anytime you got a platform and you got a voice that people listen to, you should always use it for good.
Last one. Trayvon had his surgery yesterday. Did you share any messages with him yesterday?
Yeah,
pretty much. He just talking about him playing video games with Trayvon. That's pretty much that's what he said. But again, I can't disagree with anything that he said. Right? That's never whether I agree with what you're saying. But again, like I think Brother L kind of touched on. He kind of gets what I'm saying. Is like, should I be saying it or should I be saying it right now? Is more my question. Not is it correct, and does your voice lend energy to that movement or to those people or to those areas? Yes, but I just don't want the Cowboys or him to fall on the sword because of it. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, let someone else do it. That's how I feel right now, man. But what he said is actually, it was mature and it was right. I get it. I get what angle he's coming from. But again, and that wasn't really the issue. That what he said today was it's always been like that with the topics for the podcast. It's like one week I'm like, well, why did you say that? Then the next week I'm like, thanks for saying that. Then the next week is like, well, you know what I mean? So in order to not distract yourself or the focus from your own team, it's like you don't have to answer questions about anything that you didn't generate or a narrative that you didn't create. You know what I mean? So even the line of questions, even in the press conferences, people obviously are taking notice. So yes, he's having an impact. That's what I'm saying. He's having an impact on and off the field. He has a strong voice and it's having its impact and it's traveling. So like I said, only time will tell. He a good dude. Ain't nothing wrong with being a good dude. He's a good dude. You're not an asshole. That's great. You got one that's not an asshole. I like that. Smart, mature young man. But I have to see you overcome the future or the checks that your mouth is writing right now. You got to do it. So if you do it, people talk Ali was crazy when he did it. So if you can do it, people will stop thinking you're crazy once it's done. But right now, I'm holding on like it's a roller coaster because I'm like, yo, bro, what are you doing? What are you doing? Nobody does this. So it's like disrupt media, man. Like nobody does what he's doing. So we'll see. He's trailblazing. He's always been a trailblazer in the league. So we'll see. It's like I can say what the landscape is and say how I feel about it, but you'll see next week or the week after, I'll shut up about it because I'm a realist. I'm a pragmatist. So it's like this is what we have to deal with. It's not like he's not going to stop. So just like we be like, well, when Jerry stops doing this, we can win. Jerry ain't gonna stop doing nothing. Jerry don't want to stop doing. So I can't even think that way because then I have to stop watching until Jerry sells the team or dies. Like, nah, we got to figure out how to win with Jerry. Yeah, that's how I think because that's what we're presented with. So same thing. Like we're going to figure out how to win despite him saying whatever he's saying because. Obviously, what it says to me is that nobody in the organization, not the coaches, not the owners, really say anything to guys where it's like, don't do that. Like, we don't do that here. It's not a culture of, let's keep everything in house. Because I don't think you could play for Belichick and do that. I don't think you
could. No, definitely not.
You'd be cut, no
but I do also think that the Cowboys, like whoever the powers that be are in terms of publicity and media, I do think that they're kind of having a little bit more fun with this than a lot of people want to admit. And so I think that's another reason for that. And I think we saw that when everything unfolded last week. And as Micah was going at people in the media on Twitter, they post a clip of his podcast, which started all this. And I'm just like, wait, the Cowboys are posting a clip of Micah's podcast that he does for Bleacher Report? What's going on? But it was them capitalizing on the moment. And I think that's what they felt was important. That's what they're going to keep doing. So no, they're not going to tell him not to say XYZ. They're not going to tell him stop. They're benefiting too much from it. And I think they're just at a point like, okay, whatever happens with the team is going to happen regardless. We might as well get a little piece of this pie that ESPN and FS1 are getting anyway. We're going to get some too. So it'll definitely be interesting. I still support him, but at the same time, I also believe he has the ability to perform despite all this going on. But you're right. If somehow he doesn't, or even if the team doesn't, like he could perform and the team just has a day.
I think that's the other reason people are saying it is like you had no sacks in that game versus Purdy. You really didn't do much. No one really did, right? No one played great. But you like now it's personal. they played like it was personal, and we didn't think you played like it was personal, but no one knows until you said that it's personal. Now we're like, well, what was it yesterday? What was it when you played them? I want to know now because I thought that you didn't play like it was personal. Now you admitting that you didn't play like it was personal. You know what I mean? So that's what we're saying right there. It's like, oh, like you didn't think that one through because you didn't do anything that game. So like you're saying, he has the ability to overcome it. Well, if they weren't ready or amped up to play you and you did nothing, why would I think that you're about to now whoop their ass when they actually want to whoop yours now? You know what I'm saying? So you kicking a beehive that you already got stung by, so to speak. That's how I think. It's like, why? What good can come out of it? I don't know, but he knows his team. He knows himself. So hopefully I'm wrong. I won't say I want to be right. I will gladly tell you if I'm wrong, and I'm pretty sure you're gonna tell me too. So hopefully I'm wrong. Yes. And if I am, I'll come right here and say, because you know why? If I'm wrong, I still win. If I'm wrong in this situation, that means we won. I'm like, okay, cool. You know what I mean? If I'm right, it's like I'm not happy. I lose if I'm right. So I'm saying it, but that don't mean I don't want to be right. Yeah, I don't want to be right about that. Yeah.
All right. Well, this is going to be ongoing because Micah still has, I'm pretty sure he's contractually obligated to put out a lot more episodes. We got a lot more football left to play. I got alarms going off. So now we have 2 things to revisit in several weeks. Or several things depending on how you look at it. We got Micah Parsons podcast and dating in the modern age, and do strippers actually know more about men than married women?
Yes, they do.
That's gonna be a good one.
They need to start using them as like their therapist.
Brother L said, I like y'all. I don't agree with everything y'all say or do, but I rock with y'all and I am invested in your success. You know me, I take the good with the bad, can't complain. The Porsche came with the ride.
Yeah.
Lovely words, Brother L. But on that note, I feel like I owe Akoye 2 steak dinners now.
This is what I do. I like talking
But thank you so much for joining me. Thank you to everybody who has watched and listened. And if you got to the end of this, please remember to like and subscribe. Also find Akoye's channel and like and subscribe, and find us both on Twitter, but only find Akoye on Twitter if you're ready for him to come at you and talk shit.
Yeah.
On that note, though, I am Jazz Monet. This has been another episode of the BLS podcast, this time with Akoye Media, and we're out.
Peace.